24 hours in our unique peri-peri recipe. Kissed by fire, full of flavor, perfectly grilled. And like any story, this story of our full peri-peri chicken has two sides. Yours to choose, yours to share. Enjoy the Nando's full and two sharing meal. That's our full chicken and two sharing sides of your choice for only 277 Rand.
Insurance pulls you in. Pineapple pulls you under. Insurance. Pineapple. Insurance. Pineapple. Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
This is your business.
Hooray!
This is your business supercharged with the help of zero accounting software. Hooray! This is your business supercharged with the help of Zero, finding you have more time to focus on things you love and not endless admin. Supercharge your business today.
Search Zero with an X.
And that's it from us today. I'm Jane Dutton. It's been wonderful being with you. It's 3 o'clock time for the news.
This is EWN.
Ramaphosa's protection unit head off the hook for probing Parapara matter, and Lesotho to head to America for trade renegotiations. Good afternoon, I'm Maki Malapo. The acting police minister has clarified to Parliament that the head of President Cyril Ramaphosa's protection unit, Major General Wally Rode, is off the hook on the public protector's findings that he breached the SAPS disciplinary code by investigating. Says a police hearing found Rode not guilty of allegedly conducting an illegal cross-border probe into the 2020 robbery on the president's Limpopo farm. He was responding to a written question from the African Transformation Movement, which was one of the complainants to the public protector in respect of the police's handling of the burglary in which more than $500,000 was stolen. After months of delays, the trial of 3 suspects charged with that theft finally got underway in the Modimolle Regional Court today. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
In 2023, the public protector gave the police 60 days to discipline Wally Rode in terms of the SAPS's disciplinary regulations, following evidence that he had used state resources to chase after suspects and the stolen money. Rode confirmed to the public protector, President Cyril Ramaphosa's version of events, that the crime had been reported to him during a trip to Ethiopia. Rode said he had in turn reported the crime to the erstwhile head of detective services, but this could not be corroborated by the public protector since he had since passed on. In his written reply to a question from the ATM's Vuyo Zungula, Minister Feroz Kachalia does not say when Rode faced a disciplinary hearing that has cleared him of misconduct. He says Rode's current employment status is that of an active member of the SAPS, and he remains deployed as the head of the Presidential Protection Service. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
The National Student Financial Aid Scheme will be reprioritizing the 13 billion rand that's currently in its coffers to support students with blocked registrations. The Higher Education Minister, Buti Manamela, made the announcement in Pretoria today, where he provided an update on the state of readiness of the 2026 academic year as well as NSFAS applications. Jabuli Lembata has more.
Higher Education Minister Buti Manamela says 34,000 students with blocked registrations and 15,000 second semester students will be prioritized for funding. Last month, the National Student Financial Aid Scheme announced that it had miscalculated the total in its coffers by 10 billion rand, leaving qualifying students unregistered. It has since been able to resolve this issue by rearranging funds ahead of opening of applications for the 2026 academic year. Higher Education Minister Buti Manamela.
Many of these are students at UNISA. NSFAS will issue a circular today to open the registration portal. Student accommodation providers who were impacted by the above will also be in a position to now receive payment for services rendered.
Manamela warns the scheme is still in a financial predicament because of the number of students who qualify to be funded. Jabuli Lembata, Eyewitness News.
The Umkhonto weSizwe Party has once again publicly denounced the formation and legality of the Madlanga Judicial Commission of Inquiry. The party wants the commission's formation declared unlawful, a request the Constitutional Court dismissed in July. This time, the MK party claims the public hearings, commencing on Wednesday, are an underhanded move to undermine the court challenge brought by former President Jacob Zuma, expected to be heard by a full bench in the Pretoria High Court on Thursday. MK party spokesperson Ntlamulo Ndlela.
This rushed and irregular midweek commencement is no innocent scheduling coincidence. That's a fact. It is a very well calculated move designed to preempt, undermine, and possibly frustrate the court challenge brought by MK party and President Zuma in his personal capacity as well.
In the south of Johannesburg, the ANC has apologized to the people of the Northwest and the Free State, saying they deserve better governance from the organization. Some of the country's worst performing municipalities are based in these two provinces, where the ANC also enjoys overwhelming support. Today, thousands of ANC councillors from across the country have congregated at the FNB Stadium in Soweto to receive the local government plan of action from the party's national leaders. Thabiso Goba is also there.
The Free State is home to the worst-run municipality in the country, Maluti Apofung, while in the Northwest last week, government announced 10 municipalities are either under administration or facing serious financial troubles. In both provinces, all municipalities are governed by the ANC, either outright or through coalitions. Deputy Chairperson of the ANC's Local Government Intervention Committee, Dixon Masemola, says the party has not fully repaid the faith put into it by the people in those provinces.
The people of Free State deserve better. The people of Northwest deserve better from the ANC, in as much as those municipalities remain very important instruments that we cannot, as the ANC, allow them to collapse.
The Kokta Deputy Minister also relayed his party's contrition.
I think we should be able to apologize to South Africans where things have not gone quite okay. It's not what they deserve from the leadership of the ANC at the municipal level.
Masemola says today's meeting shows the party is committed to improving. Thabiso Goba, Eyewitness News, Soweto.
And Lesotho is sending a high-level delegation to the White House in efforts to try renegotiate for lower trade duties. In August, the US introduced a 15% levy for the mountainous kingdom, much lower than the initial 50% that Donald Trump threatened in April. Despite the tariff reduction, exporters in the country have taken a dent to their businesses, as the US is Lesotho's second biggest trader for textile exports, supplying American retailers like Walmart and denim giant Levi Strauss, among others. The textile sector employs at least 12,000 people and indirectly supports 40,000 jobs, but the tariff hike has led to job cuts as operational costs rise and orders dry up. U.S. goods and services trade with Lesotho totaled an estimated $276 million in 2024, up 4.6% from 2023. Maseru's trade ministry says it wants negotiations to start at zero as a starting point to be below 15%, essentially reinstating the lower tariff policy under the Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA. Gold's trading at $3,650.13 an ounce. The rand at 17.31 to the dollar, at 23.57 to the pound, at 20.37 to the euro. Brent crude oils at $67.23 a barrel.
Leaving the Pretoria CBD, slow-moving traffic in Hermanstad. This is on Eskiam Patlele between Van der Hof and the R80, and in Edenvale there's also slow-moving traffic. This is on the R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Giluli's interchange.
In your sport, Miguel Cardoso confident that injury hits Themba Zwane will make a full recovery. Ruben Amorim accepts any decision Manchester United make following Manchester Derby disaster. And Cheslin Colby focused on Argentina after Springboks Freedom Cup triumph.
A look at your weather. Clear skies in Gauteng this afternoon. Temperatures are currently peaking at highs between 25 and 28 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour. The acting police minister has clarified to Parliament that the head of President Cyril Ramaphosa's protection unit, Major General Wally Rhoode, is off the hook on the public protector's findings that he breached the SAPS disciplinary code by investigating the Parapara matter.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Very good afternoon, everyone. It's 10 minutes past 3 on Monday, the 15th of September. This is 702 Drive with me, John Perlman. Wherever you're listening to us in 702 land, welcome to the show. Hope you had a great weekend. Hope your week is off to a good start. The African National Congress, as you heard a moment ago, has brought all of its councillors to Joburg for what the party is calling a roll call. The aim, it would seem, is to get everyone understanding and acting on the ANC's plans for next year's local government elections. Too little, too late? Now or never? What do you think this might achieve? We'll get analysis after 5, but if you've got a thought on that right now, drop us a note on 072 702 1702. Joburg Executive Mayor Dada Morero and Joburg Water announced measures today to deal with the city's water crisis. But can Joburg Water get the job done if the city keeps taking back vital infrastructure funds in order to deal with the other problems created by a badly run and poorly managed, financially that is, city? More on that after 4 with Dr. Sean Phillips, who says as much as 4 billion rand has been taken out of Joburg Water and put back into the city coffers. The Madlanga Commission of Inquiry begins this week. It's expected to bring some characters out of the shadows and into the light. Our colleague Oren Singh has already made a start. He's with us to share what he's found shortly on the show. And why is it so difficult to get the right skills into key government positions? We'll talk about that at 10 to 4. We've got all that and a whole lot more on 702 Drive, including breaking news, news from the roads in our regular traffic updates, and the latest from the markets. The JSE is flat today, but flat in a place with a fabulous view. The all-share index is currently sitting around 104,460 points. OUTsurance up by 8.6%, Blue Label by 3.7%. We Buy Cars has gained 3.4%, MTN is up by 3.1%. Rand looking pretty good too, currently trading at 17 Rand 32 against the dollar. 20 Rand 38 will get you a euro, and a pound will cost 23 Rand and 57 cents. The oil price is up by 30 cents today, currently trading at 67.10 a barrel. We'll get all the details at 25 past 4. That's when Muteo Khwaripe steps in to share what he knows. We'll have sport with Tola Kele Mganga coming up at 20 to 4. Maki Molapu, who you heard a moment ago, back with the latest news headlines at 3:30. Karabo Chale in a moment with the latest from the roads. This is 702 Drive. We're live in the place where you live, and if it's happening in 702 land, you will get to hear about it here first. We would like your help on that, though. If you think we need it, if you've seen or heard something that we haven't heard about, get in touch on 072 702 1702 or 011 883 0702. It's 13 minutes past 3. This is 702 Drive.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
At the start of the week, we've got lots to talk about, lots to ask questions about, lots to think about, and sometimes the thoughts are a little bit random that we bring to the fore, or occasionally they are prompted by things that were in the news. Now, in the news, and timed perfectly for the World Athletics Championships that are underway, there's been some fantastic races so far, including a marathon finish. I don't know if you watched it. The men's marathon today, it was won by 0.003 of a second. Maybe I'll put in an extra zero. But it was a photo finish on the line. Apparently the finish was closer than it was in the men's 100 meters. Anyway, park that thought. Botswana has printed a banknote featuring its first ever Olympic gold medalist, Litsile Tebego. He features on one half of a 50 Pula note. This is also, by the way, marking the bank, I suppose it's the Central Bank of Botswana's 50th anniversary. So on one half of the banknote, Letsile Tebego won the 200 meters at the 2024 Olympics in Paris. The other half is Botswana's 4x400 meter relay team that won silver, with Letsile Tebego playing a prominent part in that. And of course, he goes in the 200 meters, having been disqualified in the 100 meters last night for an early start. So the question I want to put to you is, if we were to honor South Africans by putting them on the banknote, as you know, the format has been very clear since 1994. Nelson Mandela on the banknotes and one of the big five on the note, depending on the value. Leopards, 200 Rand. Lions, 50 Rand. Rhinos, 10, I think. Elephants, 20. Yeah, what have I left out? Buffaloes, 100. Anyway, so that's what we have. But if we were to put a South African who really deserves the honor on, who would you put on a banknote? Rifue Letsua, very good afternoon to you. You've been given the very, very important and, dare I say, onerous task of deciding who we put on our banknotes. If we were to change them, go.
Good afternoon, John, and to the rest of our 702 family. I've actually just really thought about this. I would put unsung heroes. So that would be, you know, the mamas that are feeding orphans, to someone that's created something, invented something that would help people. So I just thought, you know, sometimes we forget about, you know, people that are actually in the trenches. Yeah, we read about them, yes, and sort of forget. But I would do an everyday changer, game changer. I hope that makes sense, because I can't think of a celebrity.
So would they be individuals, or would you depict a scene of those incredibly powerful elderly women in South Africa who've held societies together? So maybe you'd have people doing what? Selling goods on the side of the road? Is that what you're thinking of? Or would you pick somebody who we don't know, but would then be introduced to us because their story would be told when the banknote was released?
I was thinking of both. So if we do the mamas and the babas that are busy helping out, that would be like a collective of that, like on the same note. And then, but if it's someone that's, you know, found the cure for cancer, or someone that's done something exceptional, like the first doctor that
like
Chris Barnard, something like that, something that adds to our history as well.
Okay, but but taking it away from politicians.
Let's take it away.
Okay.
Kindly, please.
Karabo Chale, who's going to be on the banknote?
Well, I was thinking maybe Desmond Tutu. Desmond Tutu, who was voice of reason. He, you know, spoke a lot of sense, and he was a peacemaker. And yeah, he just kind of calmed the nation down when we were in turmoil and confused, I guess.
Okay, so we've got Desmond Tutu, we've got scientists and people who've made fabulous innovation. Then we've got either as specific individuals or as groups of individuals, unsung heroes who've held our country together through the stuff that they've done. Who would you put on a banknote? You've got five, because we've got 5 banknotes, unless we're going to get a 500 Rand note sometime. I don't think that would be soon. But let's get your suggestions, please, on 072 7021 702 011 883 0702. It's 18 minutes past 3.
John Perlman
on 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
Traffic time, Karabo Chale, start of a new week. We've had the morning rush hour. Now we've got the afternoon. What's it look like?
Well, at this stage, if you're leaving the Pretoria CBD, there's slow-moving traffic in the Hermanstad area. That's on Eskiam Patlele between Van der Hof and the R18. There's also slow-moving traffic heading into the Bedford View area. That's in Edenvale on the R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Giluli's interchange. And otherwise, the rest of 702 lane, I must say, not looking too bad. No accidents have been reported on our highways. Just look out for those faulty traffic lights, though, in the Fourways area at Witkoppen and Monte Casino Boulevard. If you are in the Ellens Neck area, that's a Rudeport. I see there's an accident scene there on Hendrik Potgieter, and that's near Christian de Wet, causing some delays. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
What's your relationship with the Deputy National Police Commissioner, Shadrack Sibia? Do you guys know each other?
I know the general for many years.
You have a close relationship?
I've got a close relationship with him for many years, not in the bad way. Like everyone who are friend to him. He's a very nice person to anyone.
What formed the relationship?
What formed the relationship, I meet the general when he used to be in the Scorpion. Yeah, that's where we met it before. We never meet it in the office. We meet it via close friend.
So this is more a friendly relationship?
A friendly relationship,
Okay.
nothing more than that.
Friend of Ket Matlala, businessman Serge Kabonge.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
At the heart of global conversations shaping the future, Africa's voice matters more than ever. As Africa's largest bank by assets and lead sponsor of the B20 Summit, Standard Bank Group is proud to spotlight the continent's growth, partnerships, and potential on the world's stage. Through informed dialogue and powerful partnerships, Standard Bank is driving sustainable growth where it matters most. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
What do partners of the Gates Foundation do when facing the world's toughest challenges? They keep going. From discovering a plastic drape that helps detect excessive postpartum bleeding faster, to developing better bed nets to kill malaria-carrying mosquitoes, to researching an RSV vaccine that could save hundreds of thousands of children. For every problem, there are people who prove that progress is possible. The Gates Foundation, partners of human potential. Learn more at gatesfoundation.org/keep going.
10 years ago, Illuma Capital set out with one goal: to help people like you build a legacy for tomorrow. Through personalized strategies and unwavering dedication, we've been instrumental in helping our clients achieve their financial dreams, whether it's securing retirement, growing wealth, or planning for the unexpected. For a decade, we've been trusted to guide your financial journey with expertise and care. Visit illuma.co.za today. Illuma Capital is a licensed FSP. T's and C's apply.
Backed by popular demand, legendary jazz icon Kenny G will be performing at the Super Bowl at Sun City on Friday, the 3rd of October. Get ready for an unforgettable night of timeless hits and pure musical magic. Get your tickets from webtickets.co.za. Brought to you by Breakout Events and 702.
Looking for real ways to live greener? Then don't miss Green Tip of the Week, your weekly dose of sustainable inspiration. From eco-entrepreneurs to climate champions, we sit down with the people making real change. Catch Green Tip of the Week every Tuesday on Afternoon Drive with me, John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m. Only on 702. Proudly brought to you by Volvo. It's safe to be brave with Volvo.
702.
Call John
on 011
883
0702.
So if you've just joined us, I threw this out in Botswana. The 50 Pula note now features Letsile Tebego, who won Botswana's first ever Olympic medal, gold in the 200 meters in Paris last year. Also on the other side of the same banknote, the 4x400 meter relay team that picked up silver, and Tebego is in that as well because he ran the anchor leg in that particular team. So we were asking, who should we put on South Africa's banknotes? And I mean, you have up to 5 that you can put on because we have 5 banknotes at the moment. So I don't know if inflation would give you more opportunities, but park that thought. So as many as 5. Lisa is calling in from out on the road with a suggestion. Lisa, good afternoon. Who's on your banknote?
Hi, I said Imtiaz Suleiman from Gift of the Givers.
Okay, Imtiaz Suleiman, just out of interest, would you put him on the 10, the 20, the 50, the 100, or the 200, or all of them?
200. 200, maybe all of them, yeah.
All right.
He's done a lot for the whole of South Africa. He's continuing to do a lot and beyond. He's an exceptional person. I would put him on.
Lisa, thank you very much. A very clear and ringing endorsement for Imtiaz Suleiman. Tafara says the sports personality I'd vote for putting on a banknote would have to be Sia Kolisi for his world record equaling achievements. Let me just finish that with his teammates and his local and international recognition that comes from Farai. Sophie, staying with rugby, she'd put the whole team on. I'd put our rugby team. There's nothing that feels nice like when our team plays, how we become united regardless. I think what you also mean to say, by the way, is how we become united, particularly when our team wins. And speaking of a winning Springbok team, if you missed our interview last Friday with Matthew Pearce, who was commentating Saturday's game, he gave us so much insight into what eventually happened on Saturday. Pick that up on primemediaplus.com, 24 minutes past 3.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
So the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry comes up soon, later this week. And in anticipation of that, our EWN colleague, Oren Singh, has been starting to do some digging, shining some light into some shadowy places and generally getting to know a little bit more about some people whose names have come up and whose names are certain to come up a whole lot more once the commission gets going. Oren, a very good afternoon to you. Sounds like you've been doing some interesting work. Where have you been focused and what in particular are you going to share with us?
John, I think the main thing that I'm looking forward to hearing or see come out of the commission is the clear-cut factionalism and these ties and the battle lines where they've been drawn. And we kind of know where some people lie within the factional divide within SAPS, but I think it goes much deeper and it's filtered into other state organs other than SAPS and that of the NPA, Department of Correctional Services, SSA, and so forth. So we have Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, Fani Masimola, the head of crime intelligence, Jumisani Khumalo, that are allegedly in one faction, Senzo Mkunu, and the suspended deputy National Police Commissioner Shadrack Sibiya that are allegedly in another faction. But it will be interesting to see how far and how deep this factionalism goes within the criminal justice system.
So, I mean, one of the other things that, and I'm really hoping that some light gets shed on that, and we're going to obviously be bringing you back in regularly, Oren, with your analysis and take on what we're hearing. But there are all sorts of people who, 3-4 months ago, we never heard of them. I mean, Brown Mokhotsi comes to mind. Katie Mulife is another one who was arrested. How many people had actually heard of Vusimuzi Kat Matlala? Admittedly, his name was coming up regularly in the digging that Jeff Wicks was doing around the Tembisa hospital. But all of these people seemingly with significant impact on the business of the commission, but people not terribly well known at all.
Not in the least, and it'll be interesting to see if the likes of Brown Mokhotsi gets called to testify. You know, we had and got wind of his criminal history, John, and this is a man with multiple convictions against his name for assault, theft, defeating the ends of justice dating back to 1997. He's got several cases that he was found guilty on in the Northwest. And he alleges that he's an informant for crime intelligence. We haven't been able to verify that. And that's, murmurs within SAPS that some people know him and some don't. But he's got political links out in the Northwest, and he's allegedly an associate of Senzo Mkunu. But let's wait and see. I've spoken to him on numerous occasions to get his right of reply, and he tells me he cannot speak to those allegations because he's going to be testifying. But I don't know if I can trust his word just yet. So it'll be interesting to see if he appears. We know that Katie Molefe or Vusimuzi Kat Matlala, without a doubt, will not be part of the witnesses to testify. They're facing serious allegations in court. But it'll be interesting to see if Brown Mokhotsi is called and whether his testimony will be available to the public. Because I think we must highlight one thing of this commission, John. As much as all South Africans are going to be focusing their attention on the Madlanga Commission, there will be evidence, and it's in all likelihood that there will be crucial evidence heard behind closed doors that neither the public nor the media will be privy to, because they have said that certain evidence they will not share with the public. So it'll be interesting to see who is going to be testifying in camera and how many of the witnesses they call will be subjected to that.
Oren, you regularly, in the course of your work generally on criminality, law and order, the criminal justice system and so on, chat to people, sometimes off the record, who are senior in the South African Police Service. Do you get any sense of how they feel about this thing coming up? Are they saying, okay, at long last, we get to see things improve, even if the medicine is a little bit bitter to swallow? Or do you get a sense as well of some real anxiety? Oh my goodness, this could make things worse before it makes things better.
Speaking solely from what I've gathered from my sources and on those off-the-record conversations around tables, John, is that the people that were likely expected to come out on top are not going to be the ones that come out on top in this, and that this is merely a smokescreen for what's really going on in the political infighting for power within politics, essentially, in South Africa. It's a race for presidency, and we know that power corrupts, John. So I think a lot of the people that know a lot of the issues that are pertaining to the criminal justice system and the factionalism within it,
Yes.
they're not expecting much. But they do seem to think that those that we see at the fore as being the ones, or the knights in shining armor, it might turn around and come back on them.
Oh, sobering and somber note on which to end, but Oren Singh keeping it real, which is exactly why we like having him, giving us his insights into the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. I mean, if you are in the South African Police Service or some other area of the criminal justice system, we'd be very happy to put you on anonymously, but you may want to share with us, is this a subject of discussion as you guys are queuing for a cup of tea, or going out on the business that you're involved in delivering? Give us a call and tell us, what are people saying? I'd be fascinated to know. It's 3:30. Maki Mulapo with the very latest eyewitness news, water or lack of, front and center in a lot of today's conversations. What are they saying, Maki?
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. The city of Johannesburg is scrambling to resolve the long-standing water crisis that has seen frustrated residents and businesses face dry taps for weeks on end. The situation came to a head this past week, with parts of the city again hit by widespread violent clashes between residents and law enforcement. Officials have blamed the supply failures on a combination of aging infrastructure, excessive water consumption, and a backlog in maintenance. For years, experts and civil society groups have warned that the city's water system was on the brink of collapse. Thandoluhle Ngcobo has more.
Part of the city's challenge is the massive loss of water through leaks, pipe bursts, and illegal connections. While the global average for such losses is between 15 and 25%, the city has at times lost as much as 44% of its water before it reaches consumers. The crisis has been made worse by a series of events, including power outages, maintenance backlogs, high demand, as well as funding and management issues. Last week, the water utility announced a 5-year water conservation and water demand management strategy, which includes repairing leaking infrastructure, replacing old pipes, and cracking down on illegal connections. The city is also working with bulk supplier Rand Water to implement restrictions on the top 30 bulk meters to manage consumption. Despite these efforts, the situation remains critical. While Joburg Mayor Dado Morero admits there is no quick fix for the city's water crisis, he says the matter is being addressed. Thandoluhle Ngcobo, Eyewitness News.
The Madlanga Commission of Inquiry into the criminal justice system will kick off at 10 a.m. on Wednesday, with KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi as the first witness to testify. In a statement released earlier today, Commission spokesperson Jeremy Michaels confirmed that work will start at 10 a.m. on day one and thereafter every day at 9:30 in the morning. Michaels also confirmed that seating at the Bridget Mabandla Justice College in Pretoria for members of the public is limited to 300.
People attending will be seated on a first-come, first-served basis, and therefore members of the public must arrive early if they wish to secure a seat. Another reason for early arrival is that strict access control measures will be in place and no unauthorized entry will be permitted.
He added that parking is also limited.
Public access to the venue is via the entrance on Struben Street between Lillian and Ngoi and Sisulu Streets. Members of the public should note that parking at the Justice College is very limited, and it is therefore advisable to seek alternative parking.
In the south of Johannesburg, the ANC's national leadership has promised intervention in some of the country's underperforming municipalities where its members are deployed. Thousands of ANC councillors from across the country have gathered at the FNB Stadium in Soweto after the party issued a roll call of all its public representatives in municipalities. The councillors are expected to give a progress report of the municipalities they are deployed at and receive an action plan from the party's leadership. Thabiso Goba has more.
The Gold Rush Dome at the FNB Stadium is overflowing with ANC councillors from across the country. The ANC has more than 4,900 elected public officials in local government, the most of any political party. The party's Secretary General Fikile Mbalula says some of their deployed members have not been performing to the required standard.
Firing or not firing will depend on the reports that we've got and the evaluation that we have done in terms of our councillors. I wouldn't want to call it firing, I would want to call it intervention. There will be intervention. You will see in most of the municipalities that are underperforming.
The ANC's councillor roll call comes with just about a year before this political term ends and there's fresh local government elections. Thabiso Goba, Eyewitness News, Soweto.
In the US, Treasury says it's close to reaching a deal with China to settle the dispute over TikTok. Congress passed a law at the beginning of the year that required the social media platform's parent company, ByteDance, to sell its business or face being shut down in America. After initially calling for TikTok to be banned during his first term, President Donald Trump has gone on to postpone the deadline 3 times so far, the latest due to expire on Wednesday. US and Chinese officials are holding a second day of trade talks in Spain today as the deadline looms in the latest attempt to end a trade war between the world's 2 biggest economies. Top-level trade delegations from Beijing and Washington last met in July when they struck a deal to extend their tariffs truce by another 90 days until November 10th. A look at your weather. It's clear skies in Gauteng this afternoon. Temperatures are peaking at highs between 25 and 28 degrees.
In Protea Glen, slow-moving traffic N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558 as well. If you're heading towards Bedfordview, delays in the Edenvale area on the R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Gilulis interchange.
The top story in Eyewitness News. The city of Johannesburg is scrambling to resolve the long-standing water crisis that has seen frustrated residents and businesses face dry taps for weeks on end.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays
12 to 1.
What is the status of recovering that debt and the impact on maintaining loans going into 2026?
One of the things that we are going to have to do is to strengthen our capacity to collect that money. But we just have to make a public plea that if you know that you've been financed by the NSFAS or TAFSA, the people who've been funded since 1996, and you are working now, please commit to pay back some of the money.
Buti Manamela.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Ready to lead and make our world a better place, Regenesis School of Education proudly launches its revolutionary Bachelor of Education program. They don't just develop teachers, they develop conscious leaders, equipped with IQ, STEM, AI, and emotional intelligence. Study in the heart of Sandton or online worldwide with a world-class faculty trusted by over 1,000 corporations and 500,000 alumni from 150 countries. Enroll now at regenesis.net/education. Regenesis School of Education, awakening potential.
The Coliseum of Big Wins is yours to dominate in the electrifying Hollywood Bets exclusive Spinner Zonke Tournament of Champions. Go for glory. Make legendary spins for a shot at striking wins. Conquer the reels and you could claim your share of a massive 500,000 Rand in cash. Power your play. Bet 2 Rand or more on selected slots to start your leaderboard rise. Bet now. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
Naked people never skip leg day. Because naked people spend less time on insurance admin, they've got more time for lunges and Romanian deadlifts. With Naked, you can cover your car, home, and stuff in seconds. And it's all online, so that means no long phone calls. Go to naked.insure now, get a car insurance quote in 90 seconds, and start working out. Like naked people. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, John, and good afternoon to your 702 listeners. I would put Clive Barker's face on the 50 Rand note simply because that guy engineered and pioneered the 1996 Bafana Bafana conquering African nations soccer team. And that went far in uniting us as a country from a fellow South African. So I would elect Clive Barker, our former Bafana Bafana coach, to be on the 50 Rand note. This is Eugene from Soshanguve.
Hi, Uncle John. I would put the late mom, Lindiwe Mabuza. If you don't know her, you can Google her. You will see. Thank you.
Rassie Erasmus on all the notes without even thinking about it. Rassie Erasmus on the 10 Rand, 20 Rand, 50 Rand, 100 Rand, 200 Rand. Done. Oscar from Northcliffe.
Hi, John. I will put the 1995 Rugby World Cup team on one of the banknotes because I think that was a start to many trophies to come. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, thanks for those. Now, let me share this and then share a completely different point of view on whether we should put any people on banknotes at all. First of all, Mr. H1, who says, please put Steve Bantu Biko, Chris Hani Sekakuni, and Shaka on the banknotes. But Quinn raises a question about the question we are asking. And this is what he says. Considering that a banknote will pass through the hands of people of all political persuasions, I think it's a bad idea to depict any person because anyone could be seen to be politically divisive. Follow the EU example and depict fauna, flora, and geometric shapes. I get what you're saying, Quinn, if you put on politicians, but would Rassie Erasmus be politically divisive? We've got a suggestion here from Justin, who talks about, I believe the White Zulu Johnny Clegg should be on a note. I think he and Savuka made a difference through his music in bridging cultural gaps and uniting us through his music. He should also be honored for his efforts and activism against the apartheid era. Would Johnny Clegg, Rassie Erasmus, Sia Kolisi, would people like that be divisive? I don't know, but interesting point. You're saying everybody uses the banknotes. Keep the space as neutral as you can. Keep those coming, please, on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. 18 minutes to 4.
EWN Sport.
Right, let's get the very latest eyewitness sport with Tolakele Mganga. Football, Sundowns, a big win, but an injury concern. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, John. And Miguel Cardoso is confident that Themba Zwane only suffered a minor injury in Mamelodi Sundowns' 3-0 win over Makesi in the Betway Premiership. His comments come amid concerns around Zwane's AFCON availability. That's after the midfielder was forced off with a muscle problem just minutes after coming on.
Our intention was to bring him on the match. We could give him game time so that he gradually progresses on the integration on the team. As I said, I was very, very clear on the relation we had together, but accidents happen, even if once they try to drive safe, but when we play football, you never know what can happen. Unfortunately, there's a small thing. Let's hope that we can recover him as quick as possible so that he looks forward for what he has ahead.
In the Premier League, there were wins this past weekend for the likes of Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal and Tottenham Hotspur. Following their derby defeat, Ruben Amorim defended his record, having won just 8 of his 31 league games in charge of United.
My message is that I'm going to give everything. I will do everything, always thinking about what is best for the club. That was always the same message. And then it's not my decision, the rest. So until I'm here, I will do my best I really want to win games, so I'm suffering more than them.
Apelele Fassi is the big injury concern for the Springboks ahead of their rugby championship games against Argentina. He was replaced towards the end of the first half of their 43-10 win over New Zealand and was seen wearing a moon boot as he watched the rest of the game from the sidelines. At the same time, Cheslin Colby has discussed the challenge the defending champions will face against the Pumas.
They've been playing really well. In the rugby championship, it's always a physical battle against them. But yeah, we just need to make sure that we focus on ourselves and where we can be better and just be clinical. I think this rugby is all about being clinical, disciplined, and just playing on the right side of the field.
And France forward Axel Bertomeu could face a ban after she was cited following an allegation of biting during their World Cup quarter-final win over Ireland. France came from behind to progress to the semi-finals following an 18-13 victory, with television footage showing Bertomeu with her mouth on the arm of Aofi Wafer. As for French captain Mani Falau, she's also been cited for a dangerous tackle and could face a ban that rules her out of the last 4 clash with England. Tola Gilemganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Coming up now, 4:45. Let's catch up with what's happening on the roads. I don't know, has anything got worse? Let's find out. Karabo.
Well, at this stage, I must say, John, things not looking too bad. No serious accidents have been reported on our highways. However, we still have those roadworks in the Devland area heading towards Eldorado Park, slowing down traffic on the Golden Highway between the N1 and Union Avenue. Protea Lane also expects some delays. N12 West between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558. Edenville, slow-moving traffic heading towards Bedford View, R24 westbound. From Edenville Road all the way to the Gilulis interchange. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, 4:45. Coming up, skills gaps in the public service. President Cyril Ramaphosa talking about it in his weekly letter on Friday. We'll talk to the chair of the Public Service Commission, Professor Somadoda Figeni. He's with us in 3 or 4 minutes' time. But first, Tolakele, 5 different banknotes. You could put somebody on the banknote, the same person on all 5, or you could take it as having 5 opportunities to honor different people. How are you going with this?
5 different people on a banknote.
Okay.
Caster Semenya on 1.
Okay.
Clive Barker on the 50 Rand note specifically. Because imagine like him in the iconic celebration.
Yes.
That one. Another one for Lucas Radebe, because I feel like we don't celebrate him enough in this country. Jomo Sono, he also needs to be honored. And then Desiree Ellis. She really has done, as a captain and as a coach, she's taken South African football to the highest of highs. So I think we should celebrate her.
1 athlete, 4 people from football.
I know people will say the Boks are the national team above all the national teams. But deep down, I feel like Bafana are really the true national team. Even the grandmothers in the street know Bafana and ask. When they lose, they're like, it's their standard. But when like the Boks are playing, the grandmothers don't really know the Boks like that. That's why.
So if you put underperforming team, no, I haven't. No, hear my point. If you put underperforming teams on your banknotes, might you not get an underperforming currency?
But John, they gave us the best month we've ever had as a country in 2010, and to this day, we still ask FIFA to give us a World Cup just for the sake of it.
Okay, all right. So 4 football people, footballers, football coaches, and we've got Caster Semenya flying the athletics flag. Who'd you put on the South African banknotes if we were to change what we currently have? Keep those coming on 011 8830 702 and 072 7021 702.
Well, John, no. On the banknote, we don't put anybody. We put the rugby ball. The rugby ball on a 200 Rand note. I think that will be fantastic. The Rudy Plouf.
Hi, Ntate John and the team. My list is as follows. I would leave the 200 note with Madiba, and the 100 Rand note, I will have Gary Player, and the 50 Rand note, I will have Dr. Kaiser Mutaung, and the 20 Rand note, I will have Harasi, Erasmus. And maybe on the 10 rand note, I will have Brenda Fassie, one of our most famous singers. That's my list.
Pleasant afternoon, Daddy John and 702 listeners. I'm conscious not to say learners. To the question at hand, I would opt for an iconic picture of the Women's March in August 9, 1956, if there is, or a picture that sort of typifies South Africans hard at work. I'd move away from individuals. There's a lot of them, and it'll be very, very difficult to pin it to a particular individual or individuals. Thanks for a great show. Tsepo in Boksburg.
Thank you. I mean, so far, most of the nominations very much dominated by sports, and I think football and rugby perhaps right up there, but Brenda Fassie takes us in a cultural direction. We've also had Johnny Clegg. I'm not sure if we've had any others. Ladysmith, Black Mambazo, hugely successful. Speaking of them, listen up, because we've got some tickets to give away to their next concert. That's later in the show. It's 10 minutes to 4.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Right, let's focus on something that the President Cyril Ramaphosa has raised in his weekly letter, talking about the shortage of skills. Well, he talks about the public service in general, gives some credit to public servants who are doing good work, but says there are areas in which we are falling short. And one of the areas that he talks about is the skills gap, the outdated systems and processes, inconsistent service delivery, and corruption. So where are we in upskilling our public servants, but also giving them the tools they need to actually get the work that needs doing done? Professor Somadora Figeni is chairperson of the Public Service Commission and joins us now. Prof, welcome and thanks very much for giving us your time. The skills shortage in the public service, is it a hiring problem, or is it that we've got too many government entities that where the entity itself is not entirely clear what it should be doing?
It's a number of systemic problems which speaks to a challenge in terms of our human resource development planning. The first one is the actual skills shortage in some areas, but the other one is the fact that you do have skilled persons, but there was a time, and there's still a time, when people tend to ignore the requirements in terms of competence and prefer loyalty. In such instances, you are more likely going to get a person who doesn't have the knowledge presiding over skilled persons who will then be crowded out of the system. Then the other challenge that you have is simply the fragmentation, wherein you find that the training institutions and government and the industry sometimes do not speak to each other to produce what is required.
So Prof, I mean, when we talk about skills shortage, is there, for example, a shortage of auditors in South Africa, or is there an unwillingness in areas of government to hire those skills? Maybe auditors is a bad example. Civil engineers could be a better one in regard, particularly to local government and the difficulties we have with services like water delivery. I would have thought we have enough good South Africans, but rather we have a political problem.
We do have a political problem as well, and also a bigger problem where we have actually hollowed out state capacity in order to give monies to tenders, in which case people inside government, those engineers, believe they'll make as fast of that money sometimes outside government than inside. And sometimes we employ an engineer inside, we frustrate them with all the bureaucratic frustrations to a point where they end up themselves leaving or they end up seeing themselves just as being managers of tenders,
Yes.
managers of projects which they have no control over.
Prof, I want to get a sense from you of the kind of the pace, but also the potholes involved in changing things around, because I've spoken about this issue on radio over many, many years at different times. And the one theme that certainly came through from listeners was that if you're younger, perhaps with a higher skill level, but certainly a fresh set of ideas, there can be a culture of real resentment saying, aha, you come in, you think you're clever, you want my job, etc. Is that environmental problem a substantial one in South Africa, that people with real verve, with new ideas and so on, are generally not made welcome?
Certainly, the institutional culture that resists any innovation and outsiders, but also some arrangements which have made it easy for a person who has been in the system for 30, 40 years, they are bountifully rewarded.
Yes.
But for the newcomers, they are often signaled that to be where I am, you'll have to take all the years to be promoted to be where I am. In a world where you want to be innovative, competitive, high impact, that culture clashes directly with the one of innovation, with the one of absorbing younger people.
Prof, I'm just wondering about the way we structure our public service, and I realize it would vary to some degree depending on the department, the jobs and tasks at hand and so on. But, you know, for example, when you look at the police, the number of generals and the shortage of detectives, when you look at other departments, you see a lot of managers, but not many, I'll call them engineers, but referring generically to people with technical skills who interface between the world of high-level knowledge and the coalface, where things need to be done and fixed. Do we need to change the system itself so that, for example, people who are technically excellent can earn somebody as much and have as much influence as somebody who is perhaps administratively higher up the chain than they are?
That you got it right in a sense, that the managerialism philosophy,
yes,
where everybody wants to be a manager,
yes,
instead of rewarding people who have specific technical skills. This is killing universities. It's killing departments, because the only way you can go up in terms of upward mobility, you have to stop being an AI scientist or a nanotechnologist or an artisan and start wanting to be a manager. Whereas other systems allow for people to rise and their salaries sometimes even outpace the very managers who are there because of their specialized skill. So we do need a rethink in a sense, because we will be losing a lot of people. Of course, the problem I mentioned earlier, where you take a manager who is not technically, informed to preside over scientists, you are going to, or specialists, you are going to frustrate those people precisely because all what you'll be doing is to flex your muscle, is just to meet some targets, just to demonstrate to them that you have the final word, even if you are less inclined to know what is there.
Thank you so much. Fascinating. We'll come back on some of these questions. Prof. Somadoda Figeni, we thank him for his time. He's chairperson at the Public Service Commission. Now, I'd like to know, what's been your experience of working in the public service? Are you one of those people? And as I say, I've talked about this on radio a lot, phone-ins and conversations at various places and where I've worked in the past. And a good number of people, particularly younger people, have said, we've come in there, we've got ideas, we're up to date with the very latest in the field, and we have frequently, I'm not saying it happens in every instance, but certainly often enough, encounter resistance from people who say, yeah, clevers, you're coming in you're looking to take over our jobs, instead of saying, wow, breath of fresh air, infusion of new knowledge, a possible source of new ideas. So your experience as a skilled person looking to make a contribution in the public service, how's it gone for you? Call me with that on 072 702 1702.
Business Outsurance are experts in business insurance for optometrists, surgeons, and other medical specialists. Here's Chrissy.
Business Outsurance is the best insurer for my business. They have great premiums, wonderful service. I know without a doubt that Outsurance has my back, and you always get something out with Outsurance.
Switch to Business Outsurance, and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Visit outsurance.co.za. Switch and save today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
At Premier Hotels and Resorts, business travelers staying alone enjoy a complimentary drink every night of their stay. So, whatever your tipple, it's on the house at any of our 24 hotels and resorts nationwide. Book today at premierhotels.co.za.
It's spring, SA, and here at DecoFern, we say it's time to say yes. Say yes to new friends. Yes to new adventures. Will you marry me?
Yes!
And definitely say yes to a few new things.
Welcome to DecoFern.
Say yes to awesome savings at the DecoFern Furniture Spring Sale, with up to 35% off on outdoor furniture and much more. In store now or at decofernsa.co.za.
This is EWN.
Yet another recall of Ford car models, and Ramaphosa calls on ANC to introspect. Good afternoon, I'm Mikey Malapo. We begin with News Just In. More than 5,000 Ford Ranger models have been recalled by the National Consumer Commission due to pedal defects. Today, the NCC has issued a statement after the Ford Motor Company notified them about complications in vehicles, including its Wildtrak, Tremor and Platinum 2025 and 2026 models. Last month, the giant car manufacturer recalled more than 20,000 Ford Ranger and Everest models over safety concerns. NCC spokesperson Peton Daba says all affected consumers should contact their nearest dealerships to have their cars inspected.
A total of 5,676 vehicles due to a defect. And of course, they say drivers of these affected vehicles may notice a change in the pedal feel, where in some instances they will require that they increase their efforts to brake the vehicle.
We move to the south of Johannesburg, where ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa says the party must take stock of its shortfalls, highlighting that it's painful to admit that some of the country's best-run municipalities are governed by the DA. Ramaphosa has been speaking at the FNB Stadium in Soweto, where he's addressing over 4,000 party councillors from across the country. While the ANC controls a majority of municipalities in the country, it also governs some of the worst-performing ones, including Malutia-Phofung and Dutsobotla. Ramaphosa says improving audit outcomes and the municipality's finances has to be a priority for every ANC councillor.
It is hugely painful each time when the Auditor General comes to report to Cabinet and they put up their report, and those municipalities that do best are not ANC-controlled municipalities. And I can name it here because there's nothing wrong with competition. They are often DA-controlled municipalities.
Ramaphosa says the ANC must ask itself what the DA is doing better.
And there's nothing wrong with us saying we want to go and see what Cape Town is doing. We want to go and see what Stellenbosch is doing. How do they craft everything? We need to be moving up the ladder of being good at what we do. We cannot forever stay at the bottom. It hurts me deeply.
The National Student Financial Aid Scheme is currently consulting communities and the private sector to create an improved accommodation framework. This is set to determine whether accommodation funds disbursed by ANSFAS go to students or to their respective facilities. Higher Education Minister Buti Manamela outlined the effort during a briefing in Pretoria today, focusing on the state of readiness for the 2026 academic year. Jabli Lembata has more.
Last month, the National Student Financial Aid Scheme assured it would conclude the accommodation framework by October 2025. Earlier, the Private Student Housing Association rejected the scheme's current policy, which pays funds directly to students, complaining that they can't be trusted to use funds accordingly. Higher Education Minister Buti Manamela says the scheme will settle on a framework to ensure that students are not homeless.
Too many learners still live in unsafe and undignified conditions. We're working with institutions, but also with communities and the private sector to accelerate accredited accommodation.
He added that this seeks to resolve delays in funding disbursements and the issue of unpaid landlords. Jabuli Lembata, Eyewitness News.
The DA in KwaZulu-Natal has made damning claims that its slain councillor, Nhlalayenza Ndlovu, was killed because he wanted to expose corruption by traditional leaders in his hometown. Ndlovu, who was the party's chief whip in the Umgeni local municipality, was shot and killed in December 2023. A traditional leader, Inkosi Simpiwe Zuma, and 3 other men are charged with Ndlovu's murder. DA KZN leader Francois Rogers says the councillor was assassinated for exposing the alleged illegal sale of land.
This particular case we're dealing with, I think it's more about corruption. Corruption in selling state land, corruption in selling electricity, and exposing that corruption. And I think that's what caused Nhlalayenza's death.
In the Middle East, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the United States backs what he termed the constructive role by Qatar in mediating in Gaza after an Israeli strike on the Gulf state against Hamas. U.S. President Donald Trump and Rubio have both said they opposed the attack last week on Qatar, which is home to the largest U.S. airbase in the Middle East. At a joint briefing with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu today, Rubio says that Washington would remain steadfast in its support for its ally in the Gaza war and called for the eradication of Hamas.
These fundamentals still remain. There is still a Hamas, there is still 48 hostages, and there's still a war going on. And all of these things standing in the way of a better future for the people of Gaza and a peaceful end to what's happening now. So we're going to remain focused on what we can do next.
Meanwhile, Netanyahu says Rubio's visit is a clear message that the United States stands with Israel and praised U.S. President Trump for his backing, calling him the greatest friend that Israel has ever had.
The American-Israeli alliance has never been as strong as it is now. And the president has been an outstanding global leader. He's really transforming the world to better all of us.
Gold's trading at $3,658.95 an ounce. The rand's at 17.37 to the dollar, at 23.60 to the pound, at 20.41 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $67.20 a barrel.
In Midrand, we have bumper traffic heading towards Sandton. That's the N1 southbound between Ellendale and the Butlu interchange. Also, roadwork still causing delays in the Devland area on the Golden Highway between the N1 and Union Avenue, and in Edenville. Slow-moving traffic on the R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Kilulis interchange.
In US sport, triumphant Adeslam Wadu insists he never doubted his ability to be a success at Orlando Pirates. Disappointment for Akani Simbini at the World Championships, and Boxing World pays tribute to Ricky Hatton. A look at your weather. Clear skies in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Joburg will drop to overnight lows of 12 degrees and peak at highs of 29. Pretoria is at 14 and 33. Vereeniging's at 9 and 28 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour. More than 5,000 Ford Ranger models have been recalled by the National Consumer Commission due to pedal defects.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 Drive, it is 8 minutes past 4. Welcome to the show. It's good to have you with us. If you've just joined us, I think I'll just say welcome again. If you've been with us since 3, why not? Coming up on the show in the next half an hour or so, we heard a lot earlier today from the executive mayor of Johannesburg, Dara Morero. We heard from the leadership of Joburg Water and from others. There are all sorts of promises and plans, and there's money in the future, and there's stuff that's going to be done to deal with the problems that so many Joburg residents are facing with regard to water supply. But there is a fundamental structural problem, according to one expert, that has to do with the way in which Joburg Water is set up. And it is that structural problem that has allowed the city of Johannesburg to simply take back from Joburg Water 4 billion rand that could and should have been spent on upgrading or fixing infrastructure. We'll talk about that with Dr. Sean Phillips, DG in the National Department of Water and Sanitation. That's coming up a little bit later on the show. Much later in the show, we will be taking a closer look at the gathering of ANC councillors. What is the ANC expecting realistically to get out of bringing all the councillors together? Yes, there is a plan, and as you heard in the bulletin a moment ago with Maki Molapo, Tabiso Gobe is out at the FNB Stadium covering the particular gathering and the conversations. There is the president saying we should not be afraid of learning from DA municipalities. I wonder how that went down. We'll find out on all of that a little bit later. That's in the show after 5 o'clock. It's 10 past 4.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Now, this is going to be fabulous if you know the answer and if you happen to be quick with your fingers. Here we go. After a magical sold-out debut in KwaZulu-Natal this past May, Jeremy Loops and Ladysmith Black Mambazo are bringing their groundbreaking collaborative show Echoes Between Us to Johannesburg this September for a limited run at the iconic Teatro at Monte Cassino. And we have 2 tickets for the concert to give away. Remember, Saturday, 20 September, i.e. in just a few sleeps' time. Now, all you have to do is answer this question, but you must call us on 011 883 0702. Don't use the WhatsApp line. The phone number again, 011 883 0702. Here's the question. Ladysmith Black Mambazo performed 2 songs with Paul Simon on the album Graceland in 1985. One song was Homeless. What is the title of the second song? 011 883 0702. Go quickly.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi John, speaking to Sbia. I think on the 200 notes we'll put Orlando Pirates, and on 100 note we'll put Mabogo Bogo and Mabaga Baga. Yes.
Hi John and 702 listeners. On this banknote issues, I don't think we should put a person or people on banknotes for the simple reasons that human beings are fallible beings. Today you've got a hero, tomorrow the same person is a villain for whatever reason. I think we all know heroes that have had bad reputational damage, and you don't want to have a banknote in circulation with a has-been. So we must just leave it to our animals because we know they won't disappoint us. Even the people that today we laud and we love to bits, even those people at the end of the day are human beings, and they could have some reputational damage. So it's not even about politicians, it's just about human nature. So leave it to the animals because we know they won't let us down.
The animals will not let us down. Ngobeni has 6 people to put on the banknotes. We only have 5, but here we go. Gerard Sekoto, the fabulous painter. Zakes Dar, wonderful novelist, playwright, and also a painter himself, actually. Professor Pitika Tuli, sculptor, I think, and cultural intellectual, if I could call him that. Advocate Paul Pretorius, who was evidence leader at the Zondo Commission. And then thank you for this, 2 of our late and much loved and much missed colleagues, Sidi Madia and Kolani Gwala. I suppose we could put the 2 of them together if we wanted to fit in with the 5 banknotes that we currently have. Just a question, if you put Orlando Pirates on the 200, where do you put Sundowns? We don't have a 400 note. But yeah, there we go. That's just my thought. 13 minutes past 4.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic Report is brought to you by South African Airways. From 4 November, fly South African Airways from Johannesburg to Gaborone twice daily. Book now at flysaa.com. Tricky out in Midrand, I believe.
Yeah, we've got bumper-to-bumper traffic heading towards Sandton. That's in the Midrand area, N1 South from Allendale all the way to the Patlu interchange. Also in Ellen's Neck, there's slow-moving traffic on Hendrik Potgieter. This is between Nick Jedricks and Christian de Ved. I think there's an accident scene there. If you're on that route, let me know. WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702. We are also on X at EWN Traffic. Devland roadwork still causing some delays on the Golden Highway between the N1 and Union Avenue, Protea Glen. There's slow-moving traffic. N12 westbound from the R554 Abu Bakr Drive all the way to the R558. Also in Protea Glen, still slow-moving traffic on the R559 main road opposite GOG Gardens. And in Edenville, slow-moving traffic on the R24 westbound from Edenville Road to the Gilulis interchange. I'll have your next Eyewitness News traffic update just after 4:30.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
South African Airways is making it easier to travel this season with more flights to Lagos, Accra and Sao Paulo. Enjoy more choice, more convenience and the warm African hospitality you know from SAA. Book now at flysaa.com.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
What is the status of recovering that debt and the impact on maintaining loans going into 2026?
One of the things that we are going to have to do is to strengthen our capacity to collect that money. But we just have to make a public plea that if you know that you've been financed by the NSFAS or TAFSA, the people who've been funded since 1996, and you are working now, please commit to pay back some of the money.
Buti Manamela.
The Midday Report
With Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
One festival, endless flavor, and 2 unforgettable days of timeless music. The DSTV Delicious International Food and Music Festival, powered by Lotto Star, returns on 20 and 21 September at Kyalami Grand Prix Circuit. On Saturday, the stage erupts with Don Toliver, Questa, and Nkabi Zezwe. Then on Sunday, experience the legendary Lauryn Hill, Wyclef Jean, Lyra, and more. The DSTV Delicious Festival, powered by Lotto Star. Tickets at Ticketmaster.
People are talking, everybody's talking, and they're saying it's time to make insurance great again. They said our low premiums were fake news. Wrong. We're putting customers first. We're gonna drain the insurance swamp. It's full of hidden fees. But when we clean it up, believe me, it's gonna be huge.
This message has absolutely nothing to do with the US government. It's paid for by the King of Insurance, who's making insurance great again. Get a quote now. It'll be the best decision, people are saying, ever. King Price is a licensed FSP. No fake news, just like her insurance.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
17 minutes past 4 o'clock. Now, earlier today, as I said, Executive Mayor Dada Morero, Nshaveni Mukwevo, who's the head of Joburg Water, both of them talking about what they're going to be doing to try and deal with this massive water crisis that the city of Johannesburg faces. But there are fundamental underlying problems that need highlighting and have been highlighted by the Director General of the National Department of Water and Sanitation, Dr. Sean Phillips. And I spoke to him a little bit earlier. Dr. Phillips, you spoke to Parliament and said that one of the problems that Joburg Water faces is the city has taken 4 billion rand out of Joburg Water accounts, and you say important projects have come to a halt because contractors have not been paid. What kind of projects are these? I mean, can you give us examples?
Yes, we were very pleased because Joburg Water got an increased budget for their current financial year. There's a lot of work that Joburg Water needs to do to repair old infrastructure, to improve its maintenance, but also important capital works to improve the resilience of its system. Most importantly, it needs to fix its reservoirs and increase its storage capacity by increasing the size of its reservoirs and building new reservoirs, and also increasing its pumping capacity. At the moment, the distribution system in Johannesburg is very susceptible and very sensitive to any disruptions in supply. For example, if there's electrical fault somewhere, and such disruptions always occur now and again. But if Johannesburg Water had more storage capacity and better pumping capacity, then it would be able to go through such disruptions without having these kind of reductions in supply of water to communities and disruptions in supply, because it would have additional water in storage, which could be drawn upon when these disruptions occur, and additional pumping capacity to pump water to high-lying areas, which are always the first to suffer when their reservoir levels become low.
So what projects have been interrupted or actively stopped by the fact that 4 billion rand has been taken out of their budgets? Contractors, in your own words, haven't been paid. Where were they working, and what's the consequence of that work not being done to date?
They're working all over the city, John. You'll have to ask Joburg Water for the details. I don't have those details. Those projects are all contracted and run by Joburg Water. But I know, for example, some of the projects related to the Commando system, which is the system which feeds Westbury and Coronationville, where there have been long water supply disruptions now, and some of those projects were aimed at addressing the underlying causes of the water supply disruptions in those areas, including, for example, the upgrading and repair of the Brixton Reservoir.
When a reservoir cracks and breaks, why is that? Obviously, infrastructure gets old, but what kind of maintenance should be done that at the moment isn't being done?
Well, you're right. A lot of Johannesburg's water's infrastructure is very old. And for decades, the maintenance was neglected. When you neglect maintenance on something like a reservoir, and for example, if you don't keep all the reinforcing steel covered with concrete, and then it becomes exposed, then the deterioration can accelerate. So in the past, over the past few decades, maintenance has generally been neglected by the city. As I indicated, we were very pleased because there was an improvement. This year, Johannesburg Water got a much better budget and has been improving its maintenance. But some of the work that's now required is rehabilitation work, partly because insufficient maintenance was done earlier. So it's a great concern to us that some of those projects have now been stopped because the contractors haven't been paid.
I want to ask you then, I mean, okay, so there's more money being made available, and there seems to be a general acknowledgement, Dr. Phillips, that money has to be spent in maintenance and infrastructure investment has to move forward. But what would stop the city of Joburg from taking that money back again, as they have done, to the tune of 4 billion rand in the past?
Well, that shouldn't be happening. In our view, it's very important that revenues from the sale of water are ring-fenced for the water function. It's fine if the city wants to add a surcharge to revenues from the sale of water, so because that revenue is a major source of funding for other activities in the city. But generally speaking, most of the revenue that's raised from the sale of water should be allocated to the water function, and it should be ring-fenced in the water function, and it shouldn't be possible for the city to take that money away after it's gone to Joburg Water, especially after Joburg Water has gone through procurement processes and appointed contractors. It's also giving Joburg Water a bad reputation in the market. Contractors are not going to be willing to tender for Joburg Water's projects in the future when they hear that there's quite a few contractors that haven't been paid. There is a reform process underway led by National Treasury called the Reform of Metropolitan Trading Services Program,
right?
Which includes a large incentive grant for municipalities to implement these kind of reforms, for them to ring-fence their entities like Joburg Water and City Power, for them to make sure that there's single point accountability and that the head of Joburg Water has control over all the functions related to delivering the service, but also to ensure that revenue from the sale of water goes to the water function, which is very important for a couple of reasons. A, it means that Joburg Water will have enough money to do the required maintenance and investment, but also it provides the right incentives for the management of Joburg Water to manage the function in such a way that revenue is optimized. At the moment, Joburg Water gets a budget which is not linked to the amount of revenue collected, so they don't have the right incentives in place to optimize revenue collection. For example, to prioritize making sure that all the meters are functional, because they get a budget anyway, regardless of whether or not the meters are functional. But if they knew that they could the money that they received was what was obtained from revenue, then they would have a very strong incentive to manage the whole water function in Johannesburg in such a way that revenue is optimized.
I want to ask you about contractors, Dr. Phillips. I mean, does Joburg Water and entities similar to it simply have their own database of contractors? And are there any concerns at national level that contractors are sometimes getting projects for which they don't have sufficient technical capability either to do well or do the work quickly and crucially under budget?
Joburg Water has to abide by National Treasury's Municipal Finance Management Act and the Treasury regulations relating to municipalities and all the other guidelines and practice notes published by both National Treasury and the CIDB governing municipal procurement. So it has to go out on open tender for any project above quite a small size, and the tenders have to be adjudicated through three bid committees. All of that is closely audited, so it's no different to any other government department or government entity in terms of being very closely regulated and very carefully audited. There is a general problem in government that despite having that highly regulated system for procurement, quite often still across government, contractors get appointed who are lacking the capability to do the work. And that's a general challenge for procurement reform in South Africa, to find a way of striking a balance between high regulation on the one hand and a professional approach to procurement where you need to apply professional judgment. We need to have professional engineers involved in the process in providing professional judgment as well as to whether the contractors to be appointed will actually have the capacity to do the work.
And just finally on your concluding point, and briefly if you can, Dr. Phillips, I mean, the role of professional engineers making sure that the work is overseen properly, that the right choices are made around contractors. How well, in your view, is Joburg Water doing in that regard, bringing in those skills to make sure, you know, if possible, most of every rand of public money hits the mark?
Compared to most other water services authorities in the country, which are the municipalities responsible for the water function, Joburg Water has relatively good capacity. It has relatively good technical capacity, and where it doesn't have sufficient internal capacity, it does contract with professional civil engineering companies to assist with the supervision of the contractors. So I'm relatively confident with regard to Joburg Water that it has the capacity to either provide the necessary supervision itself or to contract that in.
Thank you very much for giving us your time, Dr. Sean Phillips, Director General in the Department of Water and Sanitation. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, a very, very interesting interview for me, because it's all very well to stand up and say, well, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. But the money's crucial. The capacity to put that money to work, both within budget and crucially at a decent pace, is going to be the way in which we will measure whether these interventions are going to work or not. More on that later in the week, I'm sure. 27 minutes past 4.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
So Saturday night, as I said, at the Teatro at Monte Cassino, echoes between us, Ladysmith Black Mambazo and Jeremy Loops in collaboration. We've got 2 tickets to give away for the concert. We asked this question. Ladysmith Black Mambazo performed 2 songs with Paul Simon on the album Graceland in 1985. One of the songs was Homeless. What is the title of the second song? Joel is calling us from the Joburg CBD. Joel, a very good afternoon to you. We'd love to send you to the concert on Saturday, but you've got to have the right answer. What is it?
Also, John, the answer is Diamonds on the Soles of Her Shoes.
Diamonds on the Soles of Her Shoes is absolutely correct. I'm not going to ask you to sing it, Joel, because you've done more than enough. You and whoever you're taking with you, you're off to the Teatro. It is a fabulous concert. And here, of course, is the song you correctly identified. But I have more tickets to give away later in the week on 702. Joel is off to the Teatro. It could be you later in the week. Keep listening. 702 Drive. It's 29 minutes past 4.
EWN Business.
Right, the latest from the markets, please. Here's Muteo Juaripe. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John. A lot expected from the South African Reserve Bank, especially when it comes to interest rates. And there's a good indicator that's come through on the market this afternoon. The Bureau of Economic Research says long-term inflation forecasts are at a record low. Its inflation expectations survey for the third quarter of 2025 shows that predictions for price fluctuations have dropped. The Bureau says estimate headline inflation is set to average at around 4.2% for the next 5 years, down from 4.4%. Now, the forecast is the lowest since the study began in 2011. Both 1 year and 5 year forward expectations are now at 4.2%. The lower inflation sets may convince the South African Reserve Bank to continue lowering interest rates to boost economic growth while keeping the inflation under control. That interest rate number coming out from the Reserve Bank later this week. South African Reserve Bank has the repo rate at 7% currently. Then looking at the markets ahead of market close, the all shares still quite weak ahead of 5 o'clock. Banking stocks are weaker today. Mining shares also down by 0.5%, with industrials holding on for some firm gains. Outsurance up 6.8%, giving out a lot of dividends today. We Buy Cars is up 3.5%. MTN Group up more than 3%. Richmond, the luxury business, up 1.5%, with Old Mutual also in the green. Some losses for Ital Tile. They're down 3% ahead of market close. Aspen Pharmacare down 2.6%. Coal miner Exaro down 2%, with retailer Pick n Pay down 1.7%. The rand at 17 rand 37 against the US dollar, firmer this afternoon at 20 rand 41 cents against the euro, and 23 rand 60 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at $3,659 an ounce. It's at record levels, while platinum is at $1,400. Brent crude at $67.61 a barrel. I'll have more business for you in about an hour.
Right, let's get the very latest eyewitness news. It's 29 minutes to 5. Maki Molapo keeping an eye on things for us. Hi.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Experts have raised concerns about the political struggle for power, which they say has created factional rifts within the structures of the criminal justice system amid claims of maladministration across the board. This as the Commission of Inquiry into alleged criminality, political interference and corruption in the criminal justice system prepares to begin its work this week. But questions of political allegiance, fueling factionalism, continues to drive conversations in the aftermath of KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi's explosive allegations in July. Aaron Singh has more.
Crime expert Chad Thomas says factionalism within SAPS dates back 25 years to the very first political appointment of Jackie Salebi as National Police Commissioner, who had no previous policing experience.
Since then, we've seen political interference, which of course has created factionalism. The factionalism has created a fractured leadership, and that fractured leadership has now left us with a deficit in leadership.
Political analyst Kenneth Mogatle believes evidence presented at the Madlanga Commission will hurt the former governing party, the ANC.
These divisions is a true reflection of multiple factions which are existing in the ANC today.
KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi will testify as the first witness at the Madlanga Commission on Wednesday. Aaron Singh, Eyewitness News.
In the south of Johannesburg, the ANC is set to unveil a plan which it says will end load reduction in the next 18 months. Load reduction is when municipalities cut off electricity to areas where there is excessive usage, largely due to illegal connections. It's slightly different from load shedding, which happens on a national scale and is implemented by Eskom to ease pressure on the country's electricity grid. Thousands of ANC councillors from across the country are currently gathered at the FNB Stadium to receive a service delivery action plan from the party's national leadership. ANC National Executive Member and Electricity Minister Ramaphosa says resolving the energy issue will also assist councillors who have to deal with angry community members regularly.
The intention is that in not more than 18 months we should have ended load reduction. I'm confident that we can do it much earlier if we get cooperation of communities and ensure that we roll out smart meters, and then we don't penalize those that are paying. The situation we're having now is that people are connected to the same transformer. I'm paying, my neighbor is not paying, and yet I'm subjected to load reduction. That comes to an end.
In the Western Cape, Cape Town Mayor Jordan Hill-Lewis says national government intends using Cape Town as the blueprint for the future of the expanded public works program. Hill-Lewis hosted an EPWP listening tour along with Public Works and Infrastructure Minister Dean McPherson in Tafelberg and Mitchells Plain today. The Cape Town leg is part of a nationwide tour for government to engage with communities about their experiences with the program. Carla Peterson has more.
Cape Town Mayor Jordan Hill-Lewis says more than 40,000 work opportunities were created via the EPWP in Cape Town in the last financial year. Hill-Lewis says more than 1,000 EPWP workers have become permanent City of Cape Town employees.
That really shows that it's not just, yes, of course, most of it is it's likely to always be a temporary work opportunity program, but a large portion of those are actually getting skills that they need to get into full-time employment.
Hill-Lewis says Public Works and Infrastructure Minister Dean McPherson intends using the city's implementation of the EPWP to reimagine the program. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News, in Tafelberg, Mitchells Plain.
And finally, bookworms will be able to find and read their favorite books with ease as Cape Town's libraries go digital. Library cards, physical catalogs, along with e-books will all be available digitally. Readers can now apply online for a library card and collect it at their local library, giving readers access to thousands of titles ranging from contemporary bestsellers to timeless classics. MMC for Health Councillor Francine Higham says the platform showcases the library's latest editions.
These innovations make our library resources more accessible than ever, opening up a whole new world of reading to discover. Our new digital services means patrons can search our extended catalogues for their next read or favourite authors. Students, researchers and avid readers alike will benefit from these regularly updated digital resources.
A look at your weather. A fine Tuesday in store for Gauteng. Tomorrow, temperatures will drop to overnight lows between 9 and 14 degrees and peak at highs between 28 and 33 degrees.
Hermanstad leaving the Pretoria CBD, traffic sluggish on Eskom Pahlele between Van der Hof and the R80 Midrand. We still have bumper traffic. This is traveling into Sandton N1 South between Ellendale and the Batlu interchange, and finally in the Protea Glen area you can expect heavy delays. This is on the R559 main road opposite GOG Gardens.
The top story in Eyewitness News. Experts have raised concerns about the political struggle for power, which they say has created factional rifts within the structures of the criminal justice system amid claims of maladministration across the board.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
What's your relationship with the Deputy National Police Commissioner, Shadrack Sibia? Do you guys know each other?
I know the general for many years.
You have a close relationship?
I've got a close relationship with him for many years, not in the bad way. Like everyone who are friend to him. He's a very nice person to anyone.
What formed the relationship?
What formed the relationship? I meet the general when he used to be in the Scorpion. Yeah, that's where we met it before. We never meet it in the office. We meet it via close friend.
So this is more a friendly relationship?
A friend relationship, okay. Nothing more than that.
Friend of Ket Matlala, businessman Serge Kabonge.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Corporates That Care promotes and encourages corporate leaders and all citizens to walk the talk for a better South Africa. Catch Corporates That Care this Wednesday at 10 to 9, featuring Tracker. Their CEO, Dylan Fernando, will be in conversation with Bongani Bingwa. And join us every Wednesday as we highlight the efforts of companies and brands dedicated to building our country. Corporates That Care is a Prime Media Cares initiative with 702 and Prime Media Outdoor. 702, let's walk the talk and make a difference together.
This September, Joburg Theatre brings you a powerful mix of drama, music, and dance. Dancing the Death Drill, adapted from Fred Khumalo's acclaimed novel, tells the tale of Pito Mutaung, a South African soldier forever changed by the tragic sinking of the SS Mendi. The cast features Kwenzo Ngobo, Tuli Tabete, and Clint Brink, with choreography by Luyanda Sidia and original music by Msaki. This is a story of love, loss, and remembrance. Catch it from 9 to 28 September 2025 on the Mandela stage at Joburg Theatre. Dancing the Death Drill, a moment in history brought to life. Book now at joburgtheatre.com.
This is Jade. She'll spend hours comparing almond milk and once made a spreadsheet just for sneakers. But when she found Santam, ASA's leading short-term insurer that offers a range of cover options from vehicle to building and home contents, even she didn't overthink it. The kind of freedom Santam gives you takes some getting used to. Speak to your broker. Santam, this is freedom. Santam is an authorized FSP, a licensed non-life insurer and controlling company for its group companies.
Spar makes life simple. Between work, school runs, and life's little chaos, you need smart shopping that works as hard as you do. That's why Spar gives you more with Spar Smart Choices. So, take a listen to some of these smart choices. Well, Spar delivers quality and value. They do it every day. It ranges from fresh produce to butchery cuts. They've got their bakery favorites. Some of them will become yours, I'm sure. Pantry must-haves and even pharmaceuticals. Spar puts its name behind a wide range of trusted products. And Spar brand products are as good as the best. The good thing is they cost less. Every item is tested monthly to make sure you get the quality you deserve. Spar to You takes convenience further. The app that brings the Spar you love and all those goods straight to your door. Spar to You is smart shopping made simple. Need groceries, a quick pantry top-up, or something fresh from your local Spar bakery? Tap, order, consider it done. Fast, safe, eco-friendly delivery from your Spar to your doorstep. Spar, the informed choice.
EWN Sport.
Tolakele Mganga keeping an eye on all the sporting news for us. Tolakele, good afternoon.
Afternoon, John. Adeslam Wadu believes that an early trophy for Orlando Pirates during his tenure has silenced the doubters. The Buccaneers won an unprecedented fourth MTNA trophy in a row following a 3-0 extra-time triumph over Stellenbosch. Earlier in the season, some disgruntled fans had doubted Wadu's appointment. That's after they started their league campaign with back-to-back defeats.
You know how we lost that game. It's not that we didn't deserve to win, but straight away, after 2 games, people want to fire the coach. Do you think it's the life of sport? Of course, there is a lot of pressure, but we are here to give our passion, to help the team to improve, and of course, to get results. And I'm not speaking like that because we want the trophy, because we still have many games to achieve.
Ruben Amorim says he won't change his philosophy despite United's 3-0 mauling at the hands of City in yesterday's Manchester derby. An Erling Haaland double condemned the Red Devils to defeat as goalkeeper Gianluigi Donnarumma also kept a clean sheet on debut.
The fans don't want to hear me saying these things, and I know that they are not going to listen nothing and going to be upset. With that, I cannot do nothing. I'm trying to be rational, and I don't lie to myself. So I see the record, I understand the frustration of everybody, and I understand any decision that came with that.
Olympic relay silver medalist Sakani Simbini finished in 7th place in the 100-meter final at the World Athletics Championship, while compatriot Gift Leodlela was 5th. After the race, Simbini revealed that he was dealing with a calf problem as he ran a time of 10.04 seconds.
Happy with maintaining the whole season, but I just need to check my calf because it just cramped up in the beginning of the race, and then we'll see from there. But just happy with just getting through to the final and then getting to run it, and looking forward to hopefully the relay.
And Ricky Hatton's family has paid tribute to the former world champion who was found dead at the age of 46 in his home in Manchester on Sunday. Police have said they're not currently believed to be any suspicious circumstances surrounding Hatton's death. During a 15-year career, the hitman won 45 of his 48 professional bouts and was world champion at light welterweight and welterweight level. That's before he retired in 2012. Tola Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
At 17 minutes to 5, this EWN Traffic is brought to you by Cars.coza. Let's find what moves you. Latest from the roads with Karabo Chale.
Well, at this stage, John Perlman start Pretoria traffic sluggish on Eskiam Pahlele between Van der Hof and the R80 that's leaving the Pretoria CBD. Irene also expects some delays approaching the intersection of Nelmapiers Drive and Main Road. In Devland, we still have roadworks slowing down traffic. That's heading towards heading towards Eldorado Park on the Golden Highway between the N1 and Union Avenue in Protea Glen. Expect some delays on the N12 westbound from the R554 Abu Bakr Drive all the way to the R558. There's also slow-moving traffic on the R559 Main Road opposite GOG Gardens. In Ekurhuleni, traffic heavily backed up. This is heading into Bedfordview on the R24 westbound from Edenvale Road all the way to the Gilulis interchange. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Do you want to buy a Honda? Cars.coza. Toyota or Mahindra? Cars.coza. Do you want to sell a Cherry? Cars.coza. Suzuki or Mercedes? Cars.coza. Polo, Kia, Mitsubishi, Havel, Hyundai, Lamborghini. Buy and sell, it's very easy. All you got to do is type Cars.coza. 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 Let's find what moves you. Cars.coza. Cars.coza.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, it's 4:45. We were chatting a little bit earlier about courtesies. You are walking in a passageway or into a building, and there's a door that allows one person through. You're there first, but you hold the door open for other people, opening car doors for people who you know or perhaps don't even particularly know that well, colleagues at work. What are some of the others? I'm just trying to think the kind of the after you that some people like doing and some people like receiving. And I'm just wondering, are these little courtesies still a part of our life? Are they a part of your life? Do you like being the courteous person? Do you like it when people are courteous towards you? And if they are becoming less prevalent and popular and less in use, is it at a cost? I know before, for example, we had a conversation about people asking how you are, and people say, well, why do you want people to ask you how you are when you couldn't even care? So maybe, why open the door for people if, you don't really care about them, you don't even know them? It's a debate. I'd be interested to know what you think. Karabo, let me start with you. Are you that guy? Hold the door open for complete strangers if you're the first one?
All the time. It's a feel-good thing. My favorite courtesy thing that I like to do in traffic is to let people in.
Okay.
And then when they thank you with their hazards, it just lifts me up, saying, oh, you're a good person. You made somebody's day today.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but then some who didn't even thank you will just drive off, and I'm like, oh well, hope you have a bad day.
Wasted on you. Tola Kelly, I mean, these kind of little courtesies, do they matter? Do you look forward to them and enjoy them when you get them? Practice them when you're the first one at the door?
I love the little courtesies, because I also think as a person, when you're having a very bad day, it's always that little moment that just kind of gives you the flicker of light. My favorite one is when I'm at a shop. I always say to whether it's the cashier or the person who's packing my day, have a wonderful day and thank you for everything that you do. Because you'll find that there are some customers that have probably driven them up the wall an hour into their shift. And it's also just little things along the way. If you just see someone wearing a pretty dress or you like their hair, for them it's something that will last with them the whole day, even if everything else goes wrong. At least someone has just told them that, hey, today you look beautiful.
Here's one to think about. If you sent to buy 4 cans of beans or 4 tins of tomatoes or whatever it is, and there are exactly 4 left, do you come home with 3 because you think that you must leave one for somebody else?
I feel like that's the universe saying to me, you were making the right decision in wanting to buy exactly 4.
Yes.
And that's why there's only 4 left.
Because they might be the last 4 in Gauteng, Johannesburg, in that store on the African continent. Small courtesies, do you practice them? Do you look forward to them? Do they enrich us, or is too much made of that kind of gesture towards complete strangers? Give us a call on 011 883 0702. And if you've got a particular favorite of a courtesy and you think it actually matters and makes a difference, tell us what that particular favorite is. 12 minutes to 5.
John Perlman
On 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
The B20 in brief is brought to you by Standard Bank, where Africa's voice meets the world stage. It's 11 minutes to 5.
You're with John Perlman
On 702.
So we do this every Monday. We look at various aspects of this particular dimension of the G20, the B20, where business leaders, whether they are actively involved in business or economists or whatever, put their heads together to come up with some of the best ideas that will be put to the G20 when the yearly meeting is held in Johannesburg in November. Now, you may recall a couple of weeks back we spoke about different task teams, task forces, to give them their correct name. They've been looking at aspects of economic development and things holding back economic development in G20 countries, but globally as well. Now, one of those task forces was looking at the energy mix currently prevailing in the world and what a just transition might look like if we were to change that energy mix. Daniel Minele was chair of the Energy Mix and Just Transition Task Force, and he joins us now. Mr. Minele, welcome, and thanks very much for giving us your time. I understand that you've got 3 recommendations coming out of your task force. Perhaps you can share with us what those are, and then we'll go into each of them in more detail.
Thank you very much, John. Good afternoon to you and 702 listeners. The Energy Mix and Just Energy Task Force basically put forward specific solutions for how we transition to low carbon economies, more climate resilient societies, inclusive energy transition. The key focus areas include obviously promoting a diversified energy mix that balances renewables, transition fuels, low carbon technologies, and quite importantly, also mobilizing affordable, sustainable energy transition finance. So finance at scale, at the right price, on the right terms. And the other recommendation is about accelerating industrialization across the value chain, focusing on localizing low-carbon tech manufacturing and expanding sort of skills ecosystems. And finally, also expanding and modernizing energy infrastructure with investments supporting clean energy deployment. And all of this is essentially to achieve a defensible balance which takes into account sustainability and balances that with energy access, energy security, and inclusive growth.
So I'm just wondering, Mr. Minele, how this works across a range of countries, because you have South Africa, which is coal-rich, which other countries in the G20, for example, might not be. I suppose sometimes when you're looking for compromises, you can easily settle for, okay, what's going to make nobody unhappy? But clearly that was not your mission or your output. But how did you get the balance right?
No, what is important in this regard, and you raise an important point, John, is that in the process, you pay due regard to country-specific circumstances. As you quite correctly point out, take the example of South Africa, where we are embarking on a transition, or when we embarked on a transition, our specific situation was characterized by us being in an energy crisis, having to deal with an energy crisis. It had a feature that we were more dependent than others on fossil fuels, coal in particular, and where our fiscal resources were strained. So that's why South Africa always said we will transition at the pace and at the cost that we can afford in line with the international commitments. So you've got to take into account starting points and where different countries find themselves. And that's at the heart of some of the difficult decisions, because while providing for an element of national discretion and that country specificity, you need to make sure that in the process you don't compromise on our overall global ambitions of decarbonizing and transitioning in a safe and just manner.
What is the status of the recommendations you make? Is there, for example, accounting through 2026 to see what progress has been made? And if there is, I'm just wondering what was resolved in 2024, for example, that you've maybe had to pull through by way of a thread into whatever you've come up for this calendar year.
John, I think that is goes to the number of the issue. Basically, what the B20 does, it actually is the bridge between top business leaders to G20 countries through the incumbent presidency. And the B20 can help sort of leverage private sector insights, mobilize private sector action. But the key issue, and that has been one of the features of all the task forces, not just ours, under the South African B20 process, was to come up with key performance indicators, which obviously speak to sort of concise, data-driven process scorecards, if you wish, that highlight action on some of the core initiatives, be they on debt relief or digital implementation or climate change and energy transition, to make sure that we don't end up in a situation where, we just move from one presidency to the next presidency,
yes,
with grand strategies or sweeping declarations being made, but get to something that is more focused, more pragmatic, and that is technically feasible, that allows, that is politically realistic. So you can't do these things without taking into account the political economy. There's no point putting things on the table that nobody will be able to implement. And of course, very, very critical, whatever is being done must be capable of unlocking private sector capital quickly.
Thank you so much. Daniel Minele joining us. He's chair of the Energy Mix and Just Transition Task Force, as we continue to look at the work of the B20, a gathering of business leaders putting their heads together with economists and various experts, looking for economic solutions and ideas and frameworks that can be put before the G20 gathering that takes place in Johannesburg in November. At the heart of global conversations shaping the future, Africa's voice matters more than ever. As Africa's largest bank by assets and lead sponsor of the B20 Summit, Standard Bank Group is proud to spotlight the continent's growth, partnerships and potential on the world stage. Through informed dialogue and powerful partnerships, Standard Bank is driving sustainable growth where it matters most. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
What does it say about us that we move away from all of these so quickly?
It says that we've kind of become inured to each story about corruption. We read it, we express outrage, and we move on. By moving on, we allow the corruption to continue. But if they stand firm and weather the storm, it will go away and then they can continue. And that's precisely what has been happening at the Gauteng Health Department since about 2006.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
In fitness, as in finance, endurance is key. If you're 55 and older, you can get an interest rate of up to 10.62% with a Nedbank Electronic Optimum Plus account. Now feel the earn. Invest in under 2 minutes on the Money app and get money fit with Nedbank. See money differently. Nedbank. We're licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply. For more info, visit netbank.co.za.
Saddle up for springtime success with Hollywood Bets. Experience the thrill of the turf and take a shot at a share of 100,000 Rand in cash and betting vouchers. All you have to do is bet 50 Rand or more on any horse racing meeting online or visit your nearest branch to enter. Spring into action and bet now for your shot at exciting rewards. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
The team's on a roll today. Let me focus on payroll. Duty calls in the kitchen. That's why I have a business insurer that is agile and on the ball all the time on all things. I chose My Way Business Insurance, getting 24/7 emergency service and saving on my premiums, plus my business assist to handle my admin.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, Dr. John and 702 listeners. Yes, I believe those small courtesies do go a long way in our lives and they must carry on. Mainly, I do it maybe when I see a taxi. I let it pass because it has 15 people in them that might be late for work or they want to get home to their families, and most of the time I'm alone in my own vehicle, so I prefer them to rather have a right of way and I'll come after. Sometimes I also just greet total strangers. Maybe when I stand at the robot or traffic light, I see the guy next door and he's looking at me, and I greet him, hey, how are you? Just to lighten things up. And sometimes the wife does not like that, to say, you go on and greet all these people. Do you know them? I say, I don't know them. That's the point. That's why I greet them. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, we asked the question about little courtesies. Do you like offering them? Do you like getting them? And do they kind of make a difference to the energy around the place? Please do give us a call on that on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. It's 5 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Parole Board recommends release for Donovan Moodley, and the SIU broadens its probe into the Water and Sanitation Department. Good afternoon, I'm Maki Malapo. The Correctional Supervision and Parole Board has recommended that convicted killer of university student Lee Matthews be released on parole. The board held a hearing today at the Leeuko prison where Moodley is serving a life sentence. Moodley pleaded guilty to Matthews' abduction and murder in 2004 when she was 21. Her father, Rob, has questioned how the board came to its decision to consider paroling the convict. We'll have more on this story in our upcoming bulletins. More than 5,000 Ford Ranger models have been recalled by the National Consumer Commission due to pedal defects. Today, the NCC has issued a statement this afternoon after the Ford Motor Company notified them about complications in vehicles, including its Wildtrak, Tremor and Platinum 2025 and 2026 models. Last month, the giant car manufacturer recalled more than 20,000 Ford Ranger and Everest models over safety concerns. NCC spokesperson Peto Ndaba says all affected consumers should contact their nearest dealerships to have their cars inspected.
A total of 5,676 vehicles due to a defect. And of course, they say drivers of these affected vehicles may notice a change in the pedal feel, where in some instances they will require that they increase their efforts to brake the vehicle.
The Special Investigating Unit has been given the green light to broaden its probe into allegations of serious maladministration in the Water and Sanitation Department. This after President Cyril Ramaphosa signed a proclamation expanding the SIU's probe into the War on Leaks program to include the Drop the Block project. The investigation was initially limited to the Water and Sanitation Department and Sidibeng Water, but will now also include water utility Lepelle Northern Water. Nogukanya Mtambo has more.
The War on Leaks program was launched by then-President Jacob Zuma in 2015 to train at least 15,000 young people to reduce water losses through leaks. Nomvula Mokonyane was Water and Sanitation Minister at the time. When the SIU launched the investigation, it had raised concerns about inflated costs, the irregular appointment of service providers and other irregular expenditure. To further reduce water consumption, the Department of Water and Sanitation launched its Drop the Block campaign in 2018. The implementation of both initiatives is under scrutiny. SIU spokesperson Keza Khanyach.
The amendment also amends the time frame of the investigation, which will now start from the 1st January 2015 and end on the 12th of September 2025.
Khanyago says the investigation includes suppliers or service providers appointed by the department and the water utilities. Nogukanya Mtambo, Eyewitness News.
Acting Police Minister Firoz Kachalia says the investigation into the alleged assassination attempt on Deputy President Paul Mashatile has been finalized. But the findings of the police investigation into the shooting of Mashatile's car in March while travelling from an ANC-NEC meeting have not been released and are subject to classification. Kachalia was responding to a question from the EFF's Umpilo Maudwe on whether there is an ongoing investigation into the alleged assassination attempt and what the progress is. Babalo Ndenze has that story.
In March this year, Deputy President Paul Mashatile's office confirmed that his official car was shot at several times while he was traveling from an ANC-NEC meeting in the east of Johannesburg. The incident was suspected to be an assassination attempt on Mashatile, and the police promptly opened an investigation. In a written parliamentary reply, Acting Minister Firoz Kachalia says the Police's Crime Intelligence Division and the State Security Agency have finalized the inquiry investigation. He says any progress will be reported once the investigation has been finalized, subject to the classification of the findings. Mashatile's spokesperson Keith Khoza said at the time that the incident happened along the N12 and Mashatile's car was hit on the windscreen by what appeared to have been a bullet upon further inspection. Babalo Ndenze, Eyewitness News.
Popular socialite and businessman Serge Kabonge claims he is close friends with suspended top cop General Shadrack Sibiya and controversial figure Vusmusi Kat Matlala. Kabonge has been responding to claims that he played a role in the attempted hit on actress and socialite Tebogo Tobejane. Matlala has been charged with crime and is applying for bail in the Alexandra Magistrates Court. Khumuzo Modise has more.
Serge Kabonge, a man known as a blesser and a high flyer in Johannesburg's entertainment scene, has denied playing any role in the attempted hit on socialite Tebogo Tobejane. Last week, the Sunday World reported that in an affidavit, Tobejane claimed that she suspected that Kabonge had told Vusmuzi Kat Matlala that she suspected his involvement in the murder of whistleblower Babita Diokoran. Tobejane allegedly believes that's why Matlala called a hit on her. But speaking on the Clement Mayatela show, Kabonge has denied this. Kabonge further claims to be friends with suspended crime intelligence boss Shadrack Sibiya and Matlala.
Look, I know the general. Everybody knows the general for many years. You understand that? I've got a close relationship with him for many years. Not in the better way.
In an explosive press briefing in July, KZN top cop Ntantla Mkhwanazi claimed police officers were involved in corrupt activities with criminals, politicians and members of the judiciary. Khomza Modise, Eyewitness News.
And KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Ntantla Mkhwanazi is said to be the first witness scheduled to testify when the Commission of Inquiry into Political Interference and Corruption in the Criminal Justice System kicks off this week. The public hearings, chaired by retired Constitutional Court Judge Mbuyiseli Madlanga, will sit from Wednesday over the course of the coming weeks at the Bridget Mabandla Justice College in Pretoria. The high-stakes commission will probe explosive allegations by Mkhwanazi that the criminal justice system has been captured
by cartels working with politicians. Arun Singh takes a look at how we got here.
In April, KZN top cop Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi sat down with EWN, revealing the political killings task team had uncovered a high-level syndicate preventing police from doing their work in Gauteng.
There's some terrible things that happen in Gauteng about other murder cases in Gauteng that seems to have been squashed somehow.
In July, Mkhwanazi made explosive allegations about wrongdoing in the criminal justice system, which prompted President Cyril Ramaphosa to establish a commission to probe the claims.
The commission will have the power to refer matters for immediate investigation.
Commission chairperson, retired Justice Mbuyiseli Madlanga, revealed his team of evidence leaders later that month. The commission will submit 2 reports to the president, the first in 3 months and the second in 6 months. Arun Singh, Eyewitness News.
Gold's trading at $3,664.56 an ounce. The rand's at 17.37 to the dollar, at 23.60 to the pound, at 20.42 to the euro. Brent crude oil's at $67.65 a barrel.
Well, at the stage in Hermanstad, Pretoria, traffic sluggish on Eskiam Patlele between Van der Hof and the R80 Irene. Also, expect delays on Nelmapius Drive approaching Main Road, and in Boksburg, roadworks causing heavy delays. N17 in both directions. This is between Heidelberg Road and Osborne.
In your sport, Adeslam Madu believes that his MTN8 success is a win for African coaches. The Springboks sent warning shots ahead of Puma's tests in the Rugby Championship, and Armand Duplantis sets 14th pole vault world record.
Look at your weather. Clear skies in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Joburg will drop to overnight lows of 12 degrees and peak at highs of 29. Pretoria is at 14 and 33. Vereniging's at 9 and 28 degrees. Your top story in Eyewitness News this hour. The Correctional Supervision and Parole Board has recommended that Donovan Moodley, convicted killer of university student Lee Matthews, be released on parole.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
9 minutes past 5 on 702 Drive. Still to come on the show, we're going to be talking to Rob Matthews, the father of the late Lee Matthews. This relates to a case that goes all the way back to the year 2004. As you heard in that news bulletin, the Correctional Supervision and Parole Board has approved the release of Donovan Moodley. We'll get the family's response through our conversation with Rob Matthews in 2 or 3 moments' time. 2 or 3 minutes' time. We'll also take a closer look at that ANC conference that they're having at the moment. All the councillors gathered together, putting together a plan for the 2026 local government elections. Too late? Too little? We'll find out when we talk to analyst Ralph Mateja. That's coming up a little bit later as well.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic Report is brought to you by South African Airways. New flights from Johannesburg to Gaborone with South African Airways. Booked today at flysaa.com.
Well, John, at this stage, Hermanstad traffic sluggish. Eskiam Patlele between Van der Hof and the R80. Still in Tshwane Irene. Expect some delays on Nelmapius Drive approaching Main Road. In Ekurhuleni, Boksburg, roadworks causing heavy delays on the N17. That's in both directions between Heidelberg Road and Osborne in Edenvale. Traffic remains heavily backed up on the R24 westbound. This is between Edenvale Road and the Giluli's interchange. Midrand still bumper-to-bumper traffic heading into Sandton, N1 south from Allendale to the Baklu interchange, while in Devland, south of Joburg, roadworks slowing down traffic heading into Eldorado Park. That's on the Golden Highway between the N1 and Union Avenue, and in Protea Glen, Soweto, expect delays. N12 West between the R554 Abubakar Drive and the R558. Also delays on the R559 Main Road opposite GOG Gardens. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
South African Airways is making it easier to travel this season with more flights to Lagos, Accra and Sao Paulo. Enjoy more choice, more convenience and the warm African hospitality you know from SAA. Book now at flysaa.com.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Well, let's turn our attention now to a matter that many of you will be familiar with, and familiar with it from the time when it actually happened. In July 2004, Donovan Moodley abducted 21-year-old Lee Matthews from outside her tertiary education institute, the Bond University in Morningside in Sandton. She was killed despite her parents having paid Moodley the ransom that he demanded. Moodley pleaded guilty to charges of murder, kidnapping and extortion and was sentenced to life imprisonment. But the news today is that the Correctional Supervision and Parole Board has approved the release of Moodley on parole. This will still need to be considered by the National Council for Correctional Services. Correctional Services Minister Peter Groenewald, no doubt, will have something to say. Well, let's hear now from Lee Matthews' father, Rob Matthews, who's on the line to us on 702. Mr. Matthews, thanks very much for giving us your time on what I'm sure is a very, very difficult day for you and your family. I understand that you opposed the release of Donovan Moodley at the parole board hearing and made very clear what your concerns were. What's your response to the decision they've made? Did they, do you think, misunderstand what was before them, or do you think they've simply made the wrong decision?
I think it's a combination of both of them. And I think the reality is that they only had a profile of Mr. Moodley for a year and a half for the time that he was at Leoco prison. They didn't have his profile for a period of some 18 and a half years, where there's a whole history of misdemeanors and threats and allegations, and it's disappointing that that wasn't in front of the parole board today.
Well, why did that happen? I mean, is that a conscious decision this particular committee took, or was there a procedural mistake? I mean, you suggesting that something that they should have been considering simply wasn't there for them to consider. But I would have thought they would have said, well, hang on a minute, this man has been incarcerated for this length of time. What else is there?
Yes, I think it's disappointing to see that that was left out. And that is a massive problem in terms of the decision that they've come to, in our opinion. You know, they didn't take into account situations where he filed court papers where he had made allegations against me that I'd organized a hit against him in jail. He threatened my legal team. He's threatened my wife. He's threatened my family, and those are things that really, if they had done some work, they would have found them, because Mr. Moodley's the guy that put that all in his court papers. So it saddens me that that was not in the paper, in the profile that arrived today. He also made there was a psychologist report that was found by the institute to be flawed. And that psychologist report is significant, because that should never have been ignored. And if the new psychologist report had taken in, we would love to have seen that new psychologist report, but we were denied that. That sort of information should be given to victims, because how can you make sure that what you're hearing is in fact legitimate?
Yes.
So we have some real serious issues about the legitimacy of the process.
Mr. Matthews, I'm sure you and your family and your wife, Sharon, Lee's mom in particular, this has been hanging over you for a while. And I want to ask you this. I mean, even though you vigorously opposed release and you put your case as well as you could to the parole board, is there a part of you that has sort of accepted that this day was going to come at some point? Or is that a journey you still need to go on?
No, I think that's a journey that every criminal like Moodley has to go on. And victims like ourselves need to be seen as victims and not to be re-traumatized every time something like this comes up. Mr. Moodley must have had about 4 or 5 iterations of he was guilty, not guilty, somebody else did it, We still don't know where Lee's body was kept. Who else was involved? The judge made comments about other people involved in the case. So those are significant aspects to any parole process that should be considered. And if we had full disclosure and we know that there was no threat to us and anybody else in society, I guess then, because you live in South Africa and you know that parole is a process and is a law, then we would accept it. But we can't accept it as it is at the moment. It's still void of so much information that needs to be told. And yeah, it's disappointing, very disappointing. So we are considering our options. We need to think what the next steps are.
And just finally, because that was the question I was going to ask you, Rob Matthews. I mean, you may well want to keep those particular cards close, but are there options available to you? And if you can share with us what you might still do, obviously we'd be interested to know. Yeah,
there are definitely options available to us. And at this stage, we are reviewing all those options, and I'd like to keep those close to our chest at the moment because we haven't finalized on the strategy. But we definitely have options available to us.
Rob Matthews, thank you for, as I say, giving us time on a very difficult day for you and your wife Sharon and the rest of your family. Rob Matthews, father of Lee Matthews, murdered in 2004, and the man responsible for that crime, found guilty of that, is being considered for release on parole. 702 Drive, it's 18 minutes past 5.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
What does it say about us that we move away from all of these so quickly?
It says that we've kind of become inured to each story about corruption. We read it, we express outrage, and we move on. By moving on, we allow the corruption to continue. But if they stand firm and weather the storm, it will go away and then they can continue. And that's precisely what has been happening at the Gauteng Health Department since about 2006.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
The DSTV Delicious Festival, powered by Lotto Star, is back. With just one ticket, experience unforgettable music, mouth-watering food, bold fashion, and vibrant art. From Saturday 20 to Sunday 21 September, celebrate with friends and bring the family for a picnic on Sunday. This year, DSTV celebrates 30 years with international headliners, SA's hottest talent, and a feast that's as big as the vibe. It's Africa's biggest music and food festival. Get your tickets now at Ticketmaster. The DSTV Delicious International Food and Music Festival, powered by Lotto Star and supported by 702. More on deliciousfestival.com.
It all starts with advice from FNB Private. Because the perfect overseas trip starts with planning. Save and spend in multiple currencies with your FNB Global account and lock in exchange rates. Enjoy up to 40% off flights with eBucks Travel. And order Forex on the FNB app delivered to you at no extra cost. Your adventure awaits. Unlock invaluable with FNB Private. Help changes everything. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized FSP and credit provider. TC's earn rules and limits apply.
All cars are designed to move. A Mazda is crafted to move you. Every line, every detail, form in motion, beauty with purpose. So that when you drive, you connect. Car and driver become one. One rhythm. Builds, holds, breaks free. The feeling will find you. Mazda. Wonder awaits.
Durban is open for business and investment. From Monday 22 September, global and local thought leaders, business pioneers, and changemakers will gather at the 2025 installment of the Resurgence Conference Durban. The Clement Mangatela Show will be there to bring you all the highlights and insights live. This is where the future of Durban will be shaped, where opportunity for growth awaits. The Clement Mangatela Show, live at the 2025 Resurgence Conference Durban, Monday 22 September, from 9 to 12 on 702.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
702 Drive. So today in Johannesburg, every single councillor who represents the African National Congress and its voters, is gathered together for a briefing, a conversation, a call to arms. I'm not quite sure how to describe it, but certainly a gathering with the 2026 local government elections in mind. The president of the ANC, Cyril Ramaphosa, amongst the speakers, talking about a number of things as he engaged with the gathering, said, for example, that fixing potholes was easy. He also said that, and you heard it in a bulletin a little earlier with Maki Molapo, Tabiso Goba, our EWN reporter out there, saying that they shouldn't be afraid to look at DA-run municipalities, which he said regularly top the list of well-run local government authorities. So everyone's gathered, but is it perhaps too late for the ANC to, through its councillors, persuade people that giving them a vote leads to the place where they live being well run? Let's get the view of political analyst Dr. Ralph Mateja. Dr. Mateja, welcome and thanks very much for giving us your time. In the end, are people not going to judge who to vote for based on how the people they voted for before have run the place where they live? I get that you want everyone on the same page and energized, but is it possible that the ANC have not done enough on the ground for gatherings like this to make a difference?
Afternoon, John, and to your listeners. Thanks for inviting me. I mean, when it comes to local government, John, voters are treated to extensive history of councillors. And I think if you look at the time that is remaining between now and the next local government election, even if you were to hold local government election towards the end of next year, that is just not enough to get people to change their mind and move away from the history that is just before their eyes about how their councillors performed. So this is a bold step by the ANC, but I think the party should manage its expectation very well, that they should not expect to see these bearing results in the next local government election next year. And again, there are other parties as well, John, that are trying to close the gap that is being left by the ANC when it comes to poor service delivery.
So, I mean, the president says fixing potholes is easy, and of course, on a technical level and on a practical level, it is relatively straightforward. But if you have hamstrung what you do by the political arrangements that have prevailed in so many ANC-run municipalities, you could argue it's extremely difficult. You've hired people who to do jobs that they're not fit to do. You've wasted money that should have been available to fix basic things. In saying this is all easy and straightforward, just do it, isn't the president not ignoring what he must know has happened in the places, many of the places that the ANC has run?
I mean, John, listening to the president's statement, reducing performance at local government to technicality, it's like the president hasn't been around, and he knows exactly what is going on there. He knows exactly that some of the potholes are left to grow bigger so that the service providers can make a bit of more money to service them, to close them, than had it been the case if they were attended to quite earlier. So it's not a question of technicality. And again, it's not a question of just people outlining their performance and councillors stating how they've performed in the last 3 months. It's about entrenched patronage that is reigning at local government level, and how special interests and how even the leadership, how some of the councillors become councillors, it is even influenced by that entrenched patronage. So there is already an institution that goes against service delivery at local government. So for us to get better councillors, it must be it's a long haul whereby you have to fight that competing institutional arrangement that is there, John.
Dr. Ralph Mateja, political analyst, maybe you've got some views on that. Maybe you are an ANC councillor listening in and you think that this presumption that this is not going to make a huge difference is wrong. Give us a call on 011 883 0702, and you may want to comment on a place where you live that has either been run by the ANC over the years, always still being run in part by them in coalition arrangements. Of course, a lot changed in the last round of local government elections. 27 minutes past 5.
EWN Traffic.
This Eyewitness News Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance in partnership with 702. Karabo Chale is keeping an eye on things. A very good afternoon.
Afternoon, John. Let me start in the city of Tshwane, where there's slow-moving traffic leaving the Pretoria CBD in Hermanstad on Eskiam Pahlele between Van der Hof and the R80 Irene. Also, expect some delays on Malmapius Drive approaching Main Road. Boksburg, we have roadworks causing about a 20-minute delay on the N17 in both directions between Heidelberg Road and Osborne. Still in Edenville, there's traffic pressure on the R24 westbound from Edenville Road to the Giluli's interchange. Midrand, bumper-to-bumper traffic. N1 south between Allendale and the Patlu interchange in Blegauri. There's a slow-moving traffic. This is on Jan Smuts Avenue between Conrad and Winnie Mandela Drive. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
20 years ago, you were driving from the dealership in your first car, and 20 years ago, the Outsurance pointsmen were on the roads, easing traffic congestion. Whether you're an Outsurance client or not, we've all been getting something out. Show the Outsurance pointsmen some love this month and celebrate this 20th anniversary using hashtag pointsmenlove. From Johannesburg to Tshwane and Paul to Stellenbosch, let's celebrate, because Outsurance really means it when they say you always get something out. In proud partnership with 702, Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
EWN Business.
To market we go. 28 past 5. Here's Muteo Khwaripe.
Good afternoon, John. A final surge then from mining shares before market close, leaving the JSE up 217 points, ending the day in the green. Industrials up 0.5%, mining shares also up 0.5%, with banking stocks in the red this afternoon. Outsurance up 6.8%, MTN Group up 2.8%, with DRD Gold and Life Healthcare up 1.6% respectively. Major losses though for Italtal, they were down 3%. Exxaro, the coal miner, down more than 2%, while Sasol and Pick n Pay was down 1.5% this afternoon. Aspen Pharmacare also coming in lower, down 1.5%. The rand now at 17 rand 37 against the US dollar, holding on to some gains at 20 rand 42 cents against the euro and 23 rand 60 cents against the British pound. Price of gold is up more than 0.5% at $3,665 an ounce, while platinum is at $1,402. Brent crude at $67.51 a barrel. Then on the Money Show tonight, Business Unity South Africa slamming Pakistau's Credit Act flip-flop as dangerous in terms of a precedent. The Business Unity South Africa says a sudden withdrawal of those draft regulations will hurt small businesses in the country. We'll have a Money Show panel this evening discussing this particular matter. Khulekani Mathe, CEO of Designate of BUSA, will join us. John Dludlu, the CEO of Small Business Institute, and Refilo Mokhaneng, the Chief Executive of the Black Entrepreneurs Alliance, also joining us for that conversation. Our markets covered by Arthur Karas, portfolio manager at Macro Solutions at Old Mutual Investment. Then later on the show, we talk tire trouble in South Africa. Local manufacturers are calling for urgent action on dumping imports, especially from China, saying those dumping imports will raise prices by 41%. And Nduduzo Khala joining us for that conversation. He's, of course, from the South African Tire Manufacturing Conference. That's all and more on The Money Show later this evening.
Thanks, Mateo. Interesting lineup between 6 and 8. Hope you'll stay with us for that. Right now, let's get the very latest eyewitness news. Here's Marky Molapo again.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. President Cyril Ramaphosa is appealing to all political parties to put up qualified and capable candidates up for elections. Many political parties have started gearing up for the upcoming local government elections due to be held either late next year or early 2027. The president, along with some of his cabinet ministers, the president engaged ANC members in the south of Johannesburg this afternoon, and he says local government in the country continues to be below the required standard, which is in part due to the elected political leadership.
But we also want at the political level to have people who are really competent. And as we are going to the elections next year, we'd like all political parties to deploy people as their candidates who are capable, who've got the competence to run local government properly. And many political parties will admit that we have not yet reached that level.
The Higher Education Department, ANSFAS and institutions of higher learning will form a new collective to deal with student matters in 2026. The group includes student leaders who will meet weekly and reflect on solutions that have been implemented to date. Higher Education Minister Buti Manamela announced the formation of the group at a media briefing in Pretoria today, addressing readiness for the 2026 academic year. He says he wants the group to anticipate challenges timeously to prevent protest action.
Yes, students have the right to strike. University leaders have the right to protect campus property. But we must establish proper conflict resolution structures on campus before we even get the police or the department.
Johannesburg Mayor Dada Morero says interventions are being put in place to ensure everyone has access to water. Morero briefed the media earlier today from the Alexandra Park Reservoir in Kensington. The address comes as the city continues to deal with pressure to keep up with the growing population and a high water demand. Beyond infrastructure failures, the city says improving its water billing systems and addressing non-revenue water is critical to solving the crisis. Tandoluhle Ngcobo has more.
Non-revenue water that is supplied but not billed, is a problem that has plagued Joburg for years. Non-revenue water is not just from physical leaks, but also from commercial losses, including billing errors and illegal connections. The billing system has been a source of public frustration for years, with residents complaining about inaccurate, inflated, or estimated bills. While Joburg Water has vowed to improve its systems and investigating billing volumes, this issue remains a bone of contention. Non-profit organizations and opposition parties have repeatedly criticized the city for its financial management, arguing that a lack of boundaries of water revenue means funds are often diverted away from essential maintenance and infrastructure renewal. This mismanagement, they claim, is a primary reason why the infrastructure backlog has grown to its current state. The Department of Water and Sanitation has also supported the idea of making Joburg Water more financially autonomous to allow it to retain and allocate its own revenue maintenance. Tandoluhle Ngcobo, Eyewitness News.
And in the Middle East, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has not ruled out further strikes on Hamas leaders following last week's attack in Qatar, saying they would not have immunity wherever they are. Speaking at a joint press conference with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio in Jerusalem today, Netanyahu said every country had the right to defend itself beyond its borders. Israel's decision to target senior Hamas leaders in Qatar, a close U.S. ally, drew international outrage and criticism from U.S. President Donald Trump. Hamas said 6 people were killed, but that its leaders survived. A look at your weather. A fine Tuesday in store for Gauteng. Tomorrow, temperatures will drop to overnight lows between 9 and 14 degrees and peak at highs between 28 and 33 degrees.
Boksburg roadwork still causing heavy delays on the N17 in both directions between Heidelberg Road and Osborne, while in Craigle, there's traffic pressure on Jan Smuts Avenue between Conrad and Winnie Mandela Drive. Also, bumper-to-bumper traffic in the Midrand Glen Austin area. This is on Allendale Road between Old Pretoria Road and Mastiff.
The top story in Eyewitness News. President Cyril Ramaphosa is appealing to all political parties to put up qualified and capable candidates up for elections.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
What is the status of recovering that debt and the impact on maintaining loans going into 2026?
One of the things that we are going to have to do is to strengthen our capacity to collect that money. But we just have to make a public plea that if you know that you've been financed by the NSFAS or TAFSA, the people who've been funded since 1996, and you are working now, please commit to pay back some of the money.
Buti Manamela.
The Midday Report
with Man Andy Weiner.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Don't miss the Incredible Structures exhibition at the Joburg Contemporary Art Foundation. Discover striking works from leading artists. Entry is free. Book online at jcaf.org.za.
Let's count backward. 5. Insurance. 4. Pineapple. 3. Insurance. 2. Pineapple. 1. You're under. Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
Medical care, like music, needs continuity, a steady rhythm and pattern. Patients attended to on time, medication taken as prescribed. Cut the rhythm, and it falls apart. Right now, global funding cuts are restricting access to healthcare. With your support, Doctors Without Borders can continue to provide medical care to communities worldwide. Because medicine, like music, only works when uninterrupted. Doctors Without Borders, we go there.
702 and Corporates That Care with Netcare are talking about Netcare's My Walk Made with Soul initiative.
This was an initiative that began in 2015, and a lady by the name of Delani Bezuidenhout visited us and said, look, I hear Netcare is very involved in sustainability initiatives. Would you be interested in recycling your intravenous drip bags because they're made of a toxic material called PVC? And in passing, she said to me, you know, possibly we could also make shoes. My appeal is that we've handed out 328,000 pairs of shoes. And so my appeal is for South Africans to get together and come onto our website, mywalk.org.za, and donate the cost of a cappuccino. Maybe you can donate 10 shoes.
Netcare, helping future leaders step into greatness. Visit mywalk.org.za to learn more. 702. Let's walk the talk.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, Uncle John and team. In regards to your question about courtesies, not too long ago I was on a metro bus one morning, and the bus was extremely busy and full. And at one stage there was a old lady that got onto the bus, and having no seats opened, I eventually stood up to allow the old lady my seat, because all of the young men in school uniforms and some of the other ones obviously on their way to work did not stand up to allow the old lady to sit down. So yes, courtesies are still important, and I think I agree, it is also one of those feel good type of things that costs you no money. So yeah, thank you for the question. Enjoy the afternoon.
Hello John and the team. Hope everyone is great there. My one would be picking up somebody who's walking from work, going home. I know it's a bit dangerous, but after doing it, I feel okay, even when I'm sad. But if I pick up somebody who's walking home, that for me, I feel good, eh? AB in Netherlands.
Hi, John. Good afternoon, John, and 702 listeners. Look, John, the ANC is trying its best to clean up its mess, but as long as they still have the same people, the same old councillors, in the same old positions, and they don't bring in new people, nothing is going to change. And people are not stupid out there. We can see, come 2026, people, the same complaints that have been happening, potholes, service delivery, is still going to happen. As long as they don't change this CADA deployment of theirs, nothing is going to change. Thank you, John. Mjindi from Kagiso.
This, by the way, in relation to that conversation that we had with Ralph Mateja about this ANC councillor's roll call that's been going on today, and the president saying fixing potholes is easy. Christine says potholes in Glen Austin abound. In January till May, residents were told it's too wet to repair them. then that they would, this by the councillor, then that they would catch up. In July, we were told it would be August with dates specified. This came and went. Apologies were given for the delays. In September, not even update or a response is given when the council is asked for one. Potholes are not easy to fix, despite what we are told, says Christine. Yeah, potholes, the technical part, I suspect, is the easy bit, making sure it happens within budget and that it's done properly. I've spoken before about potholes fixed in my area that have lasted about 3 months, and it's either incompetence or it's a deliberate attempt to do things badly so you get called back to do them again and you get another contract or another call-out fee or whatever it might be. So, yeah, when people are messing around like that, yeah, things are hard to fix. It's 18 minutes to 6.
EWN Sport.
Tolakele, Pirates coach, talking in the aftermath of a substantial win in the MTN 8. What's he saying?
While John Adeslamadu believes that an undermining of African coaches was behind critics thinking he wouldn't perform well at the club, he won his first trophy since his appointment to June as he led the Buccaneers to a fourth MTN 8 triumph in a row that follows a 3-0 extra time win over Stellenbosch.
I still have to work hard, very hard, every morning, every day, just to show to the people that I am able to coach such big club in Africa, to give the confidence to African competencies. And today we won the cup with all African competencies in my staff.
Cheslin Colby says the Springboks have no time to dwell on their Freedom Cup success as they gear up for the back-to-back games against Argentina in the closing leg of the Rugby Championship. South Africa returned back home on Sunday following their 43-10 victory over New Zealand, which also saw them reclaim top spot in the world rankings.
When the team got announced with a young backline, me being one of the older guys at the back, I think it's just a lot of positive energy and guys that show they mean business and that they also want to play for a position in the team. And that's one thing about this squad, like whoever gets opportunity, we back them 100% and just make sure that whenever they go into big games like this, that they're confident and they're themselves.
France log Paul Willemse has retired from rugby after suffering multiple concussion. The South African-born Willemse made the last of his 32 Le Bleu appearances in February 2024, and the 2022 Six Nations winner has not played since October last year. That's due to successive head injuries. Switching over to the World Championships, where Akani Simbini remains hopeful of being fit enough for the relays, having struggled with a calf problem ahead of the 100-meter race. He finished that one in 7th place after running a time of 10.04 seconds.
We have great athletes. Gift is running well. He's in shape. I'm hopefully healthy and good to go. And we've got good 200 guys that are coming up. So looking forward to that and putting together a strong team for the relay.
And Armand Duplantis has set a new world record of 6.30 meters as he defended his world pole vault title. Duplantis had already wrapped up the competition with a winning vault of 6.15 meters before raising the bar by another 15 centimeters. It's a 14th world record for the Swede. Tola Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
At 16 minutes to 6, this Eyewitness News Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance in partnership with 702. Problems in Joburg, Craighall in particular. Karabo Chale has the details.
Yeah, there's about a 20-minute delay in the Craighall area on Jan Smuts Avenue between Conrad and Winnie Mandela Drive. Not clear what's causing this delay. Please let me know if you're on that route. You can WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702. We are also on X at EWN Traffic. Midrand, bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is on Allendale Road between Old Pretoria Road and Mastiff, while in Parktown, driving through the Joburg CBD, traffic congested. M1 southbound, this is between Killarney Benz and the double-decker section. Alexandra, also about a 20-minute delay. This is N3 southbound between Marlborough Drive and Van Buren, while in Boksburg, roadworks causing heavy delays on the N17 in both directions between Heidelberg Road and Osborne. I'll have your next Eyewitness News traffic update just after 6.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a parent shuttling his kids, with a back seat full of chatter, laughter, lunch boxes, and lost shoes.
The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic. It's a regular yet special slice of a family's life. Every story's different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. We are into the last 14 minutes of the show, which means we better get going with some music because that's the way we like to finish things up on 702 Drive. Now, we are always in, we kind of scratch our heads and think from time to time, okay, well, what angle and aspect of music can we talk about today? And we always come up with something and you guys always respond. So, for today's topic, Kabazela, take it away.
Afternoon, John, and to our 702 family. So what we want today is songs that could be associated with tragedy.
Okay.
So it could be the artist or the band wrote the song about their particular life experience or somebody else's experience. Or maybe you've taken a song and you've adapted it to a tragedy that you've had in your personal life, and perhaps that's given you meaning, it's helped you cope with it, whatever it may be. So the song that we're going to play today is a song called Hate Me, and it's by a band called Blue October. It came out in 2006.
Okay.
And this guy, it was their fourth studio album, and he became addicted to drugs, addicted to alcohol, anything, self-medicating. He just wasn't a very nice person to live with. And eventually his girlfriend, long-standing girlfriend, kicked him out of the house and left him. And then he wrote this song while he was trying to, go through a recovery period. And it's a very, very powerful song. And a lot of people, addicts especially, have used this song to help cope with their songs because they can relate with their struggles because they can relate to the song. So it starts off with quite an interesting point. So he's taken a voicemail that he received from his mother. So his mother called him, left a voicemail on his answering machine, just checking in on him. She hasn't heard from him in a while.
Right.
And then it gets into the song and the deep lyrics about, he's written this letter or the song to his ex.
Yeah. And by the way, I mean, we'll listen to the song now and enjoy it. Enjoy it, I think, because it's powerful. But I'm keen to also ask you, have these songs helped you? I mean, it can be a song with very powerful associations with pain, loss, and grief, but nevertheless, it can be something that's maybe has an element of being cathartic and so on. But let's give it over to Blue October. It's called Hate Me.
I have to block out thoughts of you so I don't lose my head. They're crawling like a cockroach, leaving babies in my bed, dropping little reels of tape to remind me that I'm alone, playing movies in my head that make up no feel like home. There's a burning in my pride, a nervous bleeding in my brain, an ounce of peace is all I want for you. Will you never call again? And will you never say that you loved me just to put it in my face? And will you never try to reach me? It is I that want to say, hate me today. Hate me tomorrow. Hate me so you can finally see what's good for you. I'm sober now for 3 whole months. It's one accomplishment.
Blue October is the band. Frontman Justin Furstenfeld wrote this, and Kabazela setting out very clearly the origin and roots of the song and what he was trying to say. It's called Hate Me. What about you? A song that you associate strongly with tragedy or loss or grief, either your own or just a powerful song that conveyed to you what the singer and possibly other members of the band were wanting to say. Send those to us on 072 702 1702.
Do whatever it takes in your heart to leave me behind.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
What's your relationship with the Deputy National Police Commissioner, Shadrack Sibia? Do you guys know each other?
I know the general for many years.
You have a close relationship?
I've got a close relationship with him for many years, not in the bad way. Like everyone who are friend to him. He's a very nice person to anyone.
What formed the relationship?
What formed the relationship? I meet the general when he used to be in the Scorpion. Yeah, that's where we met at before. We never meet it in the office. We meet it via close friend.
So this is more a friendly relationship?
A friend relationship, nothing more than that.
Friend of Ket Matlala, businessman Serge Kabonge.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Yes, sir. Or should I say the Tupperware Tony? How's business going?
Business is booming. I've been operating out of the boot of my car for 10 years, but shame, it couldn't keep up with my growing empire.
Okay, so you sold it to We Buy Cars?
Yes, quick. Sold my old one, bought a bigger one. I even sold some of my Tupperware to the friendly guy who picked up my car.
Stick to what you know best, eh, Tony?
Excuse me?
Never mind. We Buy Cars. Geared for your business, geared for you.
Spar brings you super savings. Get 1 kg D-Light 37% fat spread tub, $34.99. Save R8 with Spar Rewards. Or 1 kg Spar French, chili, garlic or chicken polony for $34.99 with Spar Rewards. Plus, you could win your share of 6 million rand in instant cash. Prices valid until 22 September 2025. While stocks last. T's and C's apply.
Naked people are great dancers. Because naked people spend less time on insurance admin, they have more time to perfect their moves. Go to naked.insure now, get a car insurance quote in 90 seconds, and get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP.
702. WhatsApp John.
On 072
702
1702.
Kabazela. It has to be Eric Clapton, Tears in Heaven. Obviously, from what I understand, Eric Clapton's young child fell from a balcony and fell to his death when he was still like a toddler, still very young, and he wrote that song obviously to commemorate that tragedy.
Tears in Heaven, Eric Clapton's song for his 4-year-old son Connor, who died so tragically. Also on the list of Langa, who's listening from Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. Great to have you listening all the way from the Gulf. He says Eric Clapton's Tears in Heaven is a powerful tragedy song. A couple of others. David says Pearl Jam, Last Kiss. That must be on the list. Begu says Linkin Park, One More Light. Ross says, Mama, I'm Coming Home by Ozzy Osbourne. He died tragically recently from Parkinson's related complications. His last live performance was just a few weeks before he died. Yeah, some really wonderful suggestions, and with it some great music. Jill, this one, I didn't know this was about a death, but I guess it would be, hey? Painted Black by the Rolling Stones, singing about the death of a loved one. And Neil takes me to one of my favorite groups, John, a song that speaks to tragedy and that everybody will go through some pain. Has to be REM's Everybody Hurts.
John Perlman
on 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
Hi, John. A song by Chico Twala, Trouble in the Night Visual. And it was composed after the Bipatong massacre, where gunmen came and shot everyone that was in the tent during a night vigil. So, Trouble in the Night Vigil by Chico Twala. Yeah, powerful stuff from Chico Twala. Songs that either connect to a personal loss or a sense of grief, or things that songs that have been written about much larger events.
Hi, John. There is a song by Libby Sefri, and it says something inside so strong. I was going through a divorce process, and I was losing almost everything of the things that I've worked hard for. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that story. And music, of course, can stir up the memories, but maybe also settle some of the pain. And Sebe says, John, I think the song that fits your description is Can You Hear Me by Genesis. Thank you for that. And then this one from Lee Ola. Okay, it's Luther Vandross. It's Can Heaven Wait?
Seven, got a phone call telling me to get here quick. Said your girl is in a bad situation. They don't know if she's gonna make it. As I hurry to be by her side, I asked 1,000 times why, oh why. There's no rhyme or reason in my life with you lying here this way.
Luther Vandross from 2001, bringing us to an end of 702 Drive with me, John Perlman, and the team. Hope you have yourselves a wonderful Monday. Get yourselves home safely and enjoy yourselves once you get there. Good night.
Tell me, can heaven wait just one more night?
And now, The Money Show with Moteo Haripe
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Grotes is brought to you by ABSA CIB, proud host of the Macro and Risk Management Conference 2025. ABSA is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply. On tonight's show, we talk to tire manufacturers who are flagging cheap